Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A major government reshuffle sees David Lammy become Deputy Prime Minister, Yvette Cooper moved from the Home Office to the Foreign Office, and Shabana Mahmood promoted to Home Secretary.
The dramatic scenes were set in motion, of course, following the resignation of Angela Rayner, who stepped down after a report found that she did indeed breach ministerial code by underpaying the stamp duty on her new flat in Hove.
So what does all this mean for the government, and what impact will it have on a beleaguered Prime Minister who faces an ever-growing threat from reform?
And say, you are the last chance we've got to get this country back on track. We are the last chance the country's got to get this country back on track.
Well, over in Birmingham, Nigel Farage rallied the troops, capitalising on the so-called big rift engulfing the Labour Party. Will reform's big theatrical shows like that and huge promises continue to cut through at a time of uncertainty in Westminster? Well, later on in the programme, we'll be getting the thoughts of the Reform Deputy Leader, Richard Tice.
We'll also be hearing from the newly appointed Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, Darren Jones.
The Duchess of Kent, who became the oldest living member of the royal family after Queen Elizabeth's death, well, she has passed away now at the age of 92. An amazing lady. We'll be paying tribute throughout the morning.
An ominous warning from Vladimir Putin, who said any foreign troops operating as part of a peacekeeping force in Ukraine would be a legitimate target for Moscow. We'll bring you the latest on that.
A very good morning. It's the end of the road for Novak Djokovic at the US Open. Carlos Alcaraz beat the Serb in straight sets to set up tomorrow's final against world number one Yannick Sinner at Flushing Meadow. In football, England face Andorra at Wembley this evening, while England's women take on Australia in the Rugby Union World Cup.
Morning. After a pretty wet week, the weather's calmed down a little bit for the weekend. It's getting quite breezy out there today, but most places dry and fine with some sunshine. The winds strengthen further tomorrow with rain for some of us. Find out where with a full forecast with me coming up soon.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
So, there's some weird stories about this morning.
Well, other than weird
Other than
government
the
stories.
usual stuff, which we'll get into in a moment.
Talk about weird.
Jane Fonda has apparently planned an unusual burial.
Well,
She's 87.
She is a bit out there. She's always been a bit edgy.
Yes, but it's not that unusual.
Well,
She's just said, I don't want to be cremated because of the smoke damage.
Oh, well, pollution in the air, yeah.
But she said, I'm going to be wrapped in a sheet and put in a hole next to my second husband. Doesn't sound that unusual, does it?
No.
I mean, wrapped in something, I suppose, haven't you?
Wrapped in something.
But the point is, these things make headlines just because
it's Jane Fonda.
Somebody's asked her, and it's Jane Fonda, so they make a big thing of it, don't they?
Isn't it bizarre? Weirdly. And there's also robot rabbits, which are being used to control Burmese python populations in Florida.
Oh, and I read an extraordinary story about... You know, in Australia, you get these cane toads that are... they're an absolute pest. They were apparently, for some reason, introduced to Australia about 200 years ago. They are the most toxic... I mean, if you touch them, you sort of die if you're not careful.
Right.
Well, apparently, the ibis... which is an Australian bird, which is apparently quite a nuisance Australian bird, but they've found that ibis wash the cane toad before they eat them, so they wash the toxins off them. So the ibis will get hold of a cane toad by its leg and swish it in the water, which causes enormous stress to the cane toad, so it exudes all this horrible toxin, and then they wash it and then they eat it whole. And apparently the ibis, now it's learned to do that. Isn't that extraordinary?
Yes,
it's learned how to do that. Now it's learned to do that, it actually may control the cane toad population, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at spiders?
Oh, sorry, no. It just reminded me, because we're talking about animals, that I was listening to... I heard someone talk about camel spiders.
That sounds
and
horrible.
saying they were the size of dinner plates.
Oh, yes, they are in Australia.
I was just looking up, and they are huge.
Yes.
So there you go. I mean, horrible. I hate
No, we
spiders.
don't talk about spiders at 6 in the morning. It's just not fair.
No.
It colours the rest of your day if you're not careful. Sorry, I brought up cane toads. The one thing you can talk about is the moon.
Yes.
If you look out at the moment, you will still probably see the moon. It's full at the moment, and it's very dramatic, and it's going to be even more dramatic tomorrow night because there's going to be an eclipse of the moon.
So it'll go red.
It'll go red.
Yeah, but the one in '99, that was the big one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there's this one, the last red moon, blood moon, I think they call it, because of an eclipse, was in 2022, I think, and there's not another one for another couple of years. So tomorrow night's a big night, and the skies should be clear, apparently.
Well, that will be nice too. Right, we better crack on.
Yes, because Martin has already been in touch. He said, did the D-Day generation really put their lives on the line so we could today be ruled by the likes of David Lammy and Shabana Mahmood? Is that the prevailing thought, I wonder?
Well, what you have to say... I mean, Shabana Mahmood, who is now Home Secretary, what they are saying, and I've got to say, I don't know enough. We'll find out in a minute. But apparently, you know, she's going to be tough on immigration. She's quite hard line on the illegal immigration business. So apparently, maybe she'll get more done than Yvette Cooper seemed to do. Anyway, it is the morning after the night before. We have seen this major reshuffle. David Lammy is Justice Secretary now and Deputy Prime Minister. Yvette Cooper's booted out the Home Office but installed in the Foreign Office.
Which you could argue is a bigger job. Anyway, the scenes were prompted. It was an amazing day yesterday, really, because it all happened after a report found that Angela Rayner had breached ministerial code by underpaying the stamp duty on her new seaside flat. And, of course, ultimately, as so many predicted, she had to resign. So what does it mean for the future of Labour? And was the Prime Minister, as suggested by Kemi Badenoch, shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic? Well, let's get the thoughts of political commentator John Oxley, who joins us in the studio. I wonder what we can talk about today. There is almost so much you don't know where to start. Where would you want to start?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things about this is the scale of the reshuffle that has come in from Angela Rayner being forced to resign, that a lot of people weren't really anticipating that there would be these big moves in government. And I think it shows that Keir Starmer and the people operating Labour have looked at this as a bit of an opportunity to kickstart a new phase of government. You know, they've been in power for a year and a bit. It's not gone particularly well in a number of ways, and this has really been the trigger to move around. You know, it is quite rare that you get these movements in the biggest offices at the top of the government. So they've after a year. So it is real, and I think even Keir Starmer said at the start, when he made his first cabinet, he sort of said there wasn't going to be a reshuffle until they were 2 years in. And there's only been one or two changes where other people have had to step away from government. But this has really been quite a big change.
Well, that begs the question, though, is it about the Prime Minister asserting authority and sort of trying to get a grasp of the helm once again, or is it an act of desperation?
I think it's the former. I think it's where the Prime Minister has seen things going wrong politically and is looking at trying to move things around. But it rolls into the question that is there enough strategy and leadership coming from the Downing Street office? Is this government as a whole clear enough about where it wants to go?
I mean, I tell you what strikes me about it all is Yvette Cooper, right? Because it's not that she's been working in the Home Office field as shadow Home Secretary for, I mean, how long is it now? 10 years or something of that ilk, right? So this is what she should know. She's lasted 1 year in the job where she doesn't seem to get anything done. I mean, it's just...
And she was away during the summer.
I mean, it's an
when
indictment
things were
of her.
becoming a crisis.
And, there's a general consensus around Westminster that she's not been very effective as a Home Secretary, has managed to sort of do the worst of both worlds, hasn't convinced people on immigration, but has also done a lot in the Home Office that has alienated a lot of Labour voters. And really, the move that has happened is, because she has a lot of influence and backing in the Labour Party, it would have been very dramatic to have sacked her. But moving her to Foreign Secretary, which is in many ways a more prestigious job, but it is a job with a lot less day-to-day responsibility, where the Prime Minister is normally a lot more involved in foreign affairs.
Has she been demoted upwards, then?
I think that's the best way of looking at it, yes. That this was the only... it's a bit like one of those games you have as a child where you move the squares around and there can only ever be one empty square. And it would have been very hard to sack her. But what they've done is shuffled her across to somewhere where, she doesn't have as much...
well, no, because Keir Starmer is, at the moment, being very good on the foreign stage, isn't he?
Yeah. And
so he almost does the Foreign Secretary's job for them.
Yes, and that's, very often the case, because most of these things happen at a very high level. There's not much policy in foreign affairs that doesn't come from number 10 and isn't part of these international agreements. So it is, it's a very shiny bauble and a very prestigious role to have, but not one where you actually had to do a lot. And really, the Home Office is a much more sort of gruelling, action-focused role. And it's really interesting that, Shabana Mahmood has been promoted to that.
So what is that going to mean for the Home Office?
I think what it is going to mean is having someone who... What we've seen at Justice is she's very good at getting things done. She's tackling problems, inherited a department which was in a huge mess, particularly in terms of the prison system, and has done a lot, some of it successful, some of it popular, not all of it so. But I think someone who really is good at getting into the grip of policy and actually pulling the levers that make things work.
Whilst all this was happening yesterday, of course, we were all anticipating that reform would be the big story of the day, because it was the first major day of their conference. And they did actually say some pretty astonishing things that otherwise would have made front-page news. They've been wiped more or less off the front page. But... Nigel Farage was very, very keen on saying, and he brought forward his speech, on saying that they could be fighting an election in 2 years' time. Do you think there is... Because he felt that the government was falling apart. And, of course, as he was speaking, the government was falling apart. Do you think there's any validity in that?
No, I think that's
None at all?
that's very unlikely. I mean, for an early general election, you would need some... the government has, 400 odd MPs, as a huge majority. There's no real mechanism for them to... or reason for them to go to an early election unless they think that they've got a very good chance of doing very well in it. So I think the idea that there will be an early election is... I think it's probably more an argument Reform are putting forward to try and keep their momentum going and try and keep their people enthused. I think it's very unlikely that that happens.
But it is strange within the Labour Party, though, because obviously there's a concern about a potential split. If the Sultana Corbyn party actually gets underway, how many MPs will it take from the government's majority? How many? Which is it?
That would be a very small number, because one of the objections that faction has is Keir Starmer has been so good at, particularly in the last election, not letting many of the far left MPs get involved. You know, there's a handful that currently.
Yeah, but look at the rebellion we saw over the disability, the welfare cuts that they wanted to bring in, and now you've got Pat McFadden in that department, who is seen as someone who is going to bring that issue back and is going to be quite strong and forceful on that.
Yeah, I think the idea of a big Labour split is very unlikely. I mean, ultimately, these are all Labour MPs. They have their differences, but it's a huge decision to defect to another party, and I think seeing it on a major scale is very unlikely.
But then also, what are we going to see? Because obviously the national executive of the Labour Party now have to hold an election for deputy leader of the party. So David Lammy is deputy prime minister,
yes,
but the deputy leader position is vacant.
Ed Miliband, that's what they're saying.
Well, I mean, one of the interesting things will be whether we see a big push to get a sort of Starmer loyalist in that position, or whether they look at it and go, actually, it will probably help us out here if we have someone who's a bit of an internal critic, a friendly critic, to sort of balance out Starmer, make the rest of the party feel like they're being heard. I think the big thing, if I was in the Labour Party and looking at this, would be we want to avoid a nasty fight. So I think, looking at who gets nominated, who goes forward, it would be better for Labour if that's as constructive as possible. And there is, my understanding is on the rules, you need quite a lot of, I think it's 80 MPs to nominate someone. So...
Gosh, that's a lot, isn't it?
It is. Again, it's like the Conservative leadership elections. When you have a big parliamentary party, the numbers go up massively in terms of how many you need. So hopefully for Labour, they'll be hoping for a sort of consensus-type candidate to emerge.
And it doesn't have to be an MP,
does it? It does.
Oh, it does have to be an MP?
Yes, the deputy leader has to be an MP. That's in the Labour rules.
Right.
Deputy leader of the party?
Deputy leader of the party does have to be an MP.
Thought it could also be a member of the House of Lords?
No, I only know this because I was having this conversation. If you look at the rules, it says it has to be a Commons member of the parliamentary party.
Who would you put your money on?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
You wouldn't squander your money on that one.
I wouldn't squander my money. I don't know enough about the internal workings of the Labour Party to really know how this is going to come out.
It's interesting because yesterday we were talking about Nigel Farage's proposals being outlined at conference. Is this idea that should they get into government, they will have a cabinet, not necessarily of members of Parliament, but they would bring experts in a health expert, a defence expert, an education expert. They'd bring them into the House of Lords. So it'd be more of an American-style system where you've got external experts, actually, in Cabinet running departments. Now, there was criticism of that yesterday. It's, for Britain, a way-out idea, pretty much. Oddly enough, someone said to me last night, well, actually, suddenly it seems like a lot more sensible idea when you've got a chaotic first year of a Labour government and then they've just switched everybody's roles around. So who knows how much any of these people ever know about the departments, and particularly the big departments of state that they're now leading. They've just had their roles all switched.
Yes. And the argument is that the civil service is there to provide expertise, the government is there to provide direction and to provide the sort of political vision of where we want to go. But the other issue is, if you take the ministers out of the House of Commons into the Lords, the reason why that's not done at the moment very much is you get less political accountability. Particularly, there's no direct link between scrutiny and the voters. And so it would be quite a radical departure for Britain, and indeed for most parliamentary systems, to have ministers from outside of politics.
It sort of made sense when they explained it on the stage.
Yeah.
But as we said, we'll have Richard Tice on later. We can ask him more about that. What did you make of the tactics that were being played out yesterday? I mean, as soon as Angela Rayner resigned, we then heard that Nigel Farage was bringing his speech, 3 or 4 hours forward.
Yeah.
Is that because he wanted to be in charge of the narrative of the day? And then suddenly we hear that Starmer is going to make a reshuffle. Was he then trying to wrest that from Farage?
I think you don't go into a reshuffle lightly just to capture the news agenda. I think this is something that I suspect when it started to look like Rayner was going earlier in the week, I think at that point Keir Starmer was like, actually, this is a good chance. And I think for the Reform Conference, it's one of those things in politics. Sometimes you just get unlucky that something big happens on your big announcement day. I mean, the famous one in 2001, the Tory leadership contest, was originally meant to finish on the 11th of September. And they had to rapidly push back the announcement by about a week because it wasn't going to be even the first 20 pages of any of the newspapers on that day. And sometimes you get a lucky break and sometimes you don't.
I do think it was a mistake by Nigel Farage to bring his speech forward, though.
Why?
I can see the thinking behind it. Of thinking, right, we're going to jump on this, capitalise on it. But in fact, it'd have been better leaving it where it was, letting some of the dust settle, some of the announcements about the reshuffle, and let those headlines go. And then he comes up with almost like a wrap-up of the day and say what utter chaos today has been.
Yeah, I think you're right, and sort of look at, sometimes in that situation, you want to be the one that catches the evening news and the last thing to see, whereas if you pull forward into the middle of the day while all this is going on, the Westminster correspondents are all talking about the government.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably right.
But he did speak later as well. But he didn't do quite what you said enough.
No.
Certainly, and if you look at the front pages of the newspapers this morning, it's really all Angela Rayner and the reshuffle, isn't it?
Yeah, so he got a bit lost in the noise, I think, yesterday by bringing it forward. But anyway,
Certainly they know how to do razzmatazz now.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
I couldn't get over Angela... Sorry, the other Angela.
Andrew Jenkins.
Andrea Jenkins coming out in a sparkly, incredibly sparkly suit and singing as she came out. That was quite a shocker, wasn't it?
Yeah, her own composition, apparently, as well.
Yeah. Talk about razzmatazz. Who talked her into that?
I don't know.
Maybe she demanded the right. I don't know. What did you think at home? I'd love to hear what you thought. Even if you're an absolutely staunch Reform supporter, did your eyebrows raise a little at that one?
Yes, interesting, isn't it? John, thank you very much indeed. We shall see you a little bit later on. Honestly, I'll tell you what it doesn't do, all this sort of thing, is give you a lot of confidence, does it? Because it's the uncertainty.
It seems pretty chaotic, doesn't it?
It does seem chaotic. But anyway, the dust will settle, then we'll have to reassess things, won't we? Anyway, at 6:20, let's have a look at the Daily Reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Nimsa Bunge, and I am the pastor of Freedom's Ark, a member of the Evangelical Alliance here in the Tottenham Town Hall. Jesus was criticized for sharing meals with publicans and sinners, and yet he reminds us in Matthew 11, verse 19, that wisdom is justified by her children. In other words, real wisdom is proven in the fruit it bears. C.S. Lewis once said, humility is not thinking less of ourselves, but thinking of yourselves less. Many of us have caught ourselves judging too quickly, but grace invites us to take another look, to sit at unexpected tables and meet God there. Let us pray. God of wisdom, teach us to see as you see. Help us walk with humility and receive your wisdom with open hearts, and not to judge others the way we see them, but to see people through your eyes. Amen.
I guess it's a good morning for reflection, isn't it? Such a lot happened yesterday that actually will affect our lives.
Yes, we just don't know how.
No.
Yet.
Yeah, and Rachel Reeves has kept her job. And now it's November the 26th, isn't it, her budget?
Oh, is it? We had a date?
Yeah, November the 26th. It's the latest possible date she could grab, which again is interesting. Is she playing for time, hoping that things will look better by November the 26th?
Just in time to ruin Christmas.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Just as you're spending money on Christmas presents, what's she going to clobber us with?
Yes, well, have a lovely frugal Christmas, everybody. I think we might have to this year.
Yeah.
Right, still to come, the world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz, has beaten Novak Djokovic in straight sets to get to the US Open final. We'll get more with Aidan in a moment.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At 6:26.
It is, I agree. I was just about to say exactly the same thing.
Aidan's here with the sport. Good morning.
Good morning to you both.
So look at the tennis. Alcaraz gets rid of Djokovic in the US Open.
He does, yeah. Look, it was straight sets. It doesn't tell the entire story because Djokovic was very much in this match in the first 2 sets over at Flushing Meadow. And it's getting very tough now for Novak Djokovic, as he points out in a moment when we hear from him. But when he gets to these late stages of his tournaments, he doesn't just have to get past one in the shape of Alcaraz. He has to get past 2. Even if he'd beaten Alcaraz yesterday with Sinner winning the other semi-final, it would have been him in the final. And it's very, very difficult because he's still the 3rd best player in the world. He's reached all 4 Grand Slam semi-finals this year.
If it was anyone else, you'd be saying how brilliantly he's done.
Look, it'll be hard because he sets such high standards. But look, he knows very well that you have to take your chances. He was 3-0 up or 3-love up in the second set. He couldn't quite get the job done. He lost in a tiebreaker to go 2 sets down, and then the 3rd set was quite processional. But let's have a listen to what he says now, and in reflective mood, and about what I'd also mention what's in the future for him as well.
I ran out of gas after the second set. I think I had enough energy to battle him and to keep up with his rhythm for 2 sets. After that, I was just gassed out, and he kept going. So that's kind of what I felt this year also with Yannick. Yeah, best of 5 makes it very, very difficult for me to play them, particularly if it's like the end stages of the Grand Slam. I'm not giving up on Grand Slams in that regard. Having said that, I'm going to continue fighting and trying to get to the finals and fight for another trophy at least.
Yeah, what's the next Grand Slam he can go for? Is it Australia?
It's Australia, yeah, where he's normally he has been quite dominant in the past. I think he's won it about 11, maybe 12 times. But look, nonetheless, I mean, you know, he says I've never known Djokovic sound so defeatist.
He's getting old.
He is. He's 38. He's going up against 22, 23, 24-year-olds.
He said he's worried about the 5 sets.
Yeah, that's the difficulty, and that's why he's only really competing at Grand Slams now. He's not taking part in any other ATP events, which makes it difficult because do you get the practice in between the slams? It's very difficult. And then you've got Yannick Sinner winning through against the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime, and again, he didn't make light of the match, but in the second set, he pointed to his abdomen, which suggests he had a slight injury worry. I just hope it doesn't affect the final tomorrow night, which is another match between the eminent stars of the sport right now. Donald Trump is going to be in attendance, his first Grand Slam, or his first New York final since 2015. He'll be attending with Melania, who apparently is a big tennis fan. And let's just hope it's a wonderful match because they produced some brilliant tennis. They produced some brilliant tennis over the last couple of years. They are the 2 outstanding players. And as one departs, one has two more seems to be filling in the breach. And it's about time it happened because it probably should have happened about 10 years ago.
Yeah, we've got an England match tonight, haven't we, against Andorra?
We have indeed, and the message from Thomas Tuchel is that he wants the players to love playing for their country. I always remember Sam Allardyce saying to me, I said to him, look, he only had one match for England back in 2016, but I said, what do you think is the problem with these England players then? And he said they're burdened by the shirt, they're frightened to go out and perform because of the expectation on them. Now, we seem to have moved on from that. Gareth Southgate did make some important inroads into dealing with the psychological issues around playing for England. They look a lot freer these days, although last summer was a bit of a hard watch, wasn't it, in the Euros. But let's hope they can get some momentum going now. It's hard, though, Stephen, when you're playing against sides like Andorra and World Cup qualifying, you can't win in some ways because if you don't swat these teams aside, then questions are raised about how good is this England side? Are they really going to be fit to face Spain and the others come next summer at the World Cup? But he said he's going to name a full side. The side we see tonight will be something resembling and what we're going to see at the World Cup next summer. This guy's been brought in to deliver the World Cup for England, and there's no time for experimentation right now because we're getting down towards the business end of the qualifying. So we're certainly getting towards we're a year out from the tournament now, and I don't think there's any time to see anybody apart from the team that's going to take the pitch.
Yeah, no pressure.
No, this is the thing. It's dealing with the pressure. No other major nation really has failed to win a trophy. Certainly not as long as England have had to wait since 1966. Yeah, everybody else has done it. Spain have won it multiple times. So have Germany. This is not just the World Cup. I'm talking about Euros as well.
Talking of the World Cup, Scotland's determined to get there, aren't they?
They are indeed. I mean, that good result last night against Denmark. I think their best hope is to get the third place in their group. 4 teams involved overall: Greece, Denmark and Belarus. Now, they go to Hungary on Monday. They can't go to Belarus because of the war situation in sport, but they're facing Belarus in Hungary. That's going to be a crucial game for them because they need to get that third place in the playoffs, which would be brilliant if Scotland can get to the World Cup. I don't think they've been there since 1998, but a creditable draw last night. They restricted Denmark's opportunities, and Denmark would be the favourites in the group. So to go there and get a point was definitely a feather in their cap, no question about that.
And the women's rugby?
Yes, Australia today. It's a pool game. England are already through, so there's not that much riding on it. But it's the first time England have faced really decent opposition tonight. And I just wonder now, as we get to the latter end of the tournament, we're beginning to see, as we expect, the top sides facing each other. And we'll get an idea tonight just how good this England side is.
Yeah, be all right. They'll be all right.
They're doing
I'm
very
confident.
Well. Yeah.
I'm confident.
They're rattling the points, I tell you.
What are they calling them now? I saw an advert the other day. They were all jumping out of a plane. Yes, not rugby, AI, won't it? Yeah. But they were calling them because obviously we've got the Lionesses. I can't think what they were calling them.
I'll look it up.
No, but
they're still plain old England to me.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with just being called England. You don't need a nickname for everything.
No, you don't.
You blooming don't. The flag's enough, eh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so don't get me started on the flag. I'll rant again.
Oh, have you been ranting?
I've been ranting.
Oh, I've missed your rant.
I've been ranting, yeah. Because I'm so annoyed.
Are you ranting positively?
Yeah, I'm so annoyed at these councils who are saying we need to remove all these. I like it. I like the roundabouts painted with the St George's Cross.
Have you got flags up near you?
Yeah, and there's flags on, and there's all over when you're driving down the motorway. They're on every bridge, every passover.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's very normal in Northern Ireland, you know.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, you'd drive through villages, and I mean, it was a delineation of which denomination you were, but it was still great to see the flags.
I just hate the fact that there's all these councils going, it's a disgrace, it's a sign of, you know, anti-this and anti-that.
No, it's not.
It's our flag.
Yeah. It's not anti-anything, it's pro-England.
It's pro-England. Nothing wrong with being pro-England if you're English.
You should be pro-England.
Yeah. You know, let's get the Wales... I mean, I'm going to Wales next week for a wedding. Let's get there. I hope I see the Welsh flag everywhere.
And you do. When you go to Wales, don't you? The dragon is everywhere, and it's lovely to see. And it's on all the road signs and everything like that, isn't it?
But in England, let's have the English...
Something beginning with double L and then ending in double L with an I in between. And there's always a dragon on the road sign, which is lovely.
So let's do it in England. Let's have it everywhere.
Yeah.
Why not?
I agree.
Be proud to be English, as proud as we are to be British.
As well.
Quite right.
Yeah.
All right, enough ranting from me. The Great British Giveaway.
Yes.
It's our biggest prize package to date, worth well over £100,000.
Yeah, it's your chance to drive away with a brand new four-berth motorhome and 30 grand as well in tax-free cash. Here's all the details you need to take part and hopefully win.
Could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Or watching that arrive would be something to look forward to, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't it just? Wouldn't it just? Right, anyway, still to come, enough of our dreaming. Still to come, the Duchess of Kent, who was the oldest living member of the royal family after Queen Elizabeth's death, has passed away. She was 92. We'll be paying tribute and looking back at her legacy in a moment.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Good morning, Graham. What's your view on the latest comments about the gender of the next James Bond? Should there be one?
Well, there obviously should be a James Bond, but it should never be a woman. I think this is something that was in the media and the press some years ago that's kind of been dragged up to a degree. It's a nonsense. It was a nonsense when it was first spoken about some years ago, and it's just as big a nonsense now. It needs to be a 6 foot tall, dark-haired, strapping, middle-aged guy. I say middle, I mean talking about 32.
Yeah, Graham, like,
32 is quite young in my book.
Well, but I mean, look, Graham, what I say is that you know, a lot of these. I mean, I know Amazon, I believe, have bought the rights to James Bond now. I mean, you've seen what they've done with some of their other shows. I'm not so convinced they're not going to go down this super woke, what I would call woke route. Is it? Do they really need to reinvent James Bond though? Because we've had so many iterations of him. They pretty much killed him off in the last movie. Do we need to reinvent the idea of James Bond, or should James Bond just retire? Should we say, actually, do you know what? We've had James Bond for almost 100 years. Actually, should we let this character rest for at least a bit of time, or maybe just retire the character before it gets destroyed by modern reinventions of it?
Well, I think there's always going to be a market. There's always going to be an audience for James Bond if those films are made the correct way. I mean, you've got a perfect blueprint. If you look at the Bond films in the 60s and you follow that as a blueprint, you can't go wrong, because most of them are based on Ian Fleming, and it's the best Bond films are the ones that are based on Fleming's books quite closely.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time for the newspapers with the writer Emma Wolfe and political commentator Jonathan Liss. Good morning to you.
Good
morning.
Right, what are we starting with? Nightmare on Downing Street.
Well, yes, commiserations to all the lefties out there.
Front page of the Daily Mail.
I didn't know we'd all been fired.
Well, no, exactly.
Crying bitter tears.
You'd leave now, Jonathan.
Crying bitter tears and watching
Some
your...
of the headlines are very,
painful.
This is disaster. This
yeah,
is
really.
But is it really disastrous, or is it just the Prime Minister reshuffling? That's what they do.
Well, I think he's tried to look decisive yesterday, tried to take swift action, tried to shuffle things around. But, I mean, many of us are just saying, well, this is shuffling deck chairs around on a sinking ship, Titanic, whatever metaphors you want. I mean, really, he didn't get rid. It's just the same old faces. He didn't dare to get rid of any of his senior team, so he shuffled them around. We've got, someone who's apparently going to be slightly stronger at the Home Office. Yvette Cooper has been moved from the Home Office to Foreign Secretary.
I do think it's quite an indictment of Yvette Cooper, actually.
Well,
the fact that she's been pushed out of the Home Office, considering that has been her brief in opposition for
And I always get that feeling when people have hopefully built up some experience, like Liz Kendall, for example. Presumably by now she's built up some knowledge and experience. You can't just do a job for 5 months and then get moved.
But what you're really
DWP, and now she's back.
Yeah, but what you're really critiquing is the way that politics is done in this country, because that's what prime ministers have always done for time immemorial. At some point in the premiership, rearrange all of the leaders, and I think it's actually, I agree with you. It's a strange way to run a country, because
you'd agree with Nigel Farage then?
I do think it's a strange. I don't think I'm not blaming Starmer for it, because I understand why prime ministers do it, because they want to kind of renew in office. They want to sort of have a fresh feel, novelty, kind of sort of can give a sort of fresh impetus. One hopes, anyway. I'm not sure it will happen in this case, but it sort of. It's not like having a CEO where you rise up in your field for many, many years and then you get to the top. Although, having said that, some CEOs do actually move. I remember you had the head of the post office moving to the head of the FA, for example, a few years ago. So it does happen, of course, in business as well. But I think that it's a strange thing to do, and I agree with you that when you have this expertise, as the current sort of set do, Yvette Cooper, David Lammy, etc., they have built personal relationships, it then is a bit strange to move them, but I understand why he's done it.
Yeah, and of course we know that the civil servants really run departments, and really you just need to figure it. But that's not quite my point. My point was we're not seeing any fresh faces. There aren't these kind of new talent that we think, this person is actually going to make a difference here. It does feel very stale. It feels like Lammy's been moved from here to Justice, or when he gets the Deputy Prime Ministership. Yvette Cooper's been moved from the Home Office to the Foreign Office.
Yeah.
Liz Kendall's been moved this way. People moving sideways and a bit up, sideways and a bit. It doesn't feel like any exciting new faces.
All this talk of the rising talent in the Labour Party.
I think it's a good point. Emma Reynolds is a new cabinet minister, I suppose. I can't remember. Is she gone to Environment, I think? And then I was surprised that Matthew Pennycook actually didn't make it up to Housing Secretary, because he's been quite an effective minister under Angela Rayner.
Who got housing?
It's
a
not,
man.
It's not,
Is it Peter Kite? Not Peter Kite.
no, he's moved to. Oh gosh, this is embarrassing, isn't it?
We can check.
It takes a while for it all to sink in.
Yeah, because it was Angela Rayner's brief, and it is somebody that one knows about.
Should we quickly check while we...
Housing.
It's Matthew Pennycook, is it?
Is it? It is Matthew Pennycook.
I'm being told.
Oh. Well, then that's exactly what I said should happen. That's great. Because he's been effective.
No, it says Reid.
Steve Reid.
Steve Reid, yeah, that was it, from Environment.
It was on
yeah, so look...
I never trust the voices in my head.
but I'm wondering, and Jonathan, maybe you can answer this, is it because, you know, by sacking anyone senior or by doing anything too radical, he would then make more enemies, Starmer would make more enemies, and that's not really
we knew that Rachel Reeves was safe because... there was no way that he could... That would be curtains, basically, if he moved her at this point. So she's going to deliver her budget, as you were saying, at the end of November, and we'll see what happens there. That is the key appointment. I don't think it matters too much about the Home Office. Clearly, if you have Shabana Mahmood moving there, that suggests that, you know, the optics are interesting, having a Muslim woman there as well.
But apparently she could be even more tough than anyone
But that's the thing.
Yeah,
so,
people are saying she's nails.
That will also give Labour the political space maybe to be a little bit tougher. I don't know. It's certainly not something that I would approve of, but I think that's what they're looking for with that. And Yvette Cooper, I don't think it's necessarily an indictment of her time at the Home Office. I don't know what experience she has in foreign office or diplomacy, but I think she is an effective minister. I don't agree with her decisions. I'm not sure that's true, actually. I think it's a very, very difficult brief to have. I don't agree with a lot of decisions that she's made, but I think that the consensus is that she is an effective minister.
I'll tell you what, it's also about optics in all of this, because I know that actually the job of Deputy Prime Minister is a bit of a hollow title.
It's a bit
in
like
a
being
way.
the VP in America, isn't it?
However, it resonates with the public. People see it as an elevated position. And the one person who I said, when talking to you last night, and they said, has there been a reshuffle? What's happened? Who's Deputy PM? David Lammy. And they went, you've got to be kidding me. Because he's not he's a really nice man in the flesh. I like him a lot in the flesh. However, his perception amongst the British people is not a good one.
I'm not sure that's fair, to be honest. I'm not sure that people have that much of an impression of him either way, actually. You know, I think he's not been... Look, obviously I disagree with a lot of the government's decisions over sort of Gaza. I don't think that is necessarily Lammy's fault per se. I agree with you. He's a very, very nice man. I think he's very smart as well. I know he gets a lot of flack on this channel and others for various reasons.
No, not just here, actually.
No, I know. But I've had many conversations about him on this channel that he does seem to get, you know, he does seem to rile people up in a particular way. But it is a demotion, clearly. Having said that, as Deputy Prime Minister, you do get to sort of have personal relationship, so maybe there will be a bit of continuity with, for example, JD Vance, because that does seem to be a bit of a bromance they've developed.
Yeah,
and do you think that Rayner will be sort of back?
I hope she is. I don't think that it's such a. It's not the worst crime in the world that she's committed.
Well, that's a bit controversial. Anyway, back with you two in just a moment. We've got more papers in a sec, but first, if you want some holiday sun, here's the European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello. We may see a few showers over the Balearics during the course of Sunday. Meanwhile, it's looking fine in Italy. Lots of sunshine for Greece and most of Turkey too. Just a few showers inland. Most of the beaches staying dry and sunny. There will be a few showers, as I said, heading south across Mallorca, perhaps affecting Ibiza as well. And northern parts of Tunisia seeing a little bit of rain. And there's a weak weather front which may bring thick cloud and the odd spot of rain to the Algarve on Sunday. That clears away, though, by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, we're still talking papers, are we not?
We are, yes we are. Let's have a look at the Duchess of Kent, who's died at the grand age of 92.
Yeah.
Emma?
Well, this was Catherine, the Duchess of Kent, who's actually dubbed in the Daily Mail the Queen of Compassion. I was reading about her life, and there's so much that I didn't personally know.
She's been
how much she did.
So long that she faded from our thoughts, but she had an interesting life, and it turns out she was a fascinating person.
Really fascinating, but battled a lot of personal demons, physical and mental kind of health issues, as we say nowadays, but was incredibly kind of practical and hands-on, went out and helped people, not just the classic that we see there on the screen, the classic Wimbledon, and, you know, she was always seen at Wimbledon, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was the patron,
and there was that,
she?
Yeah, she was the patron, and then there was that famous, she was embracing Novotna when she lost,
when she lost.
And all of that,
and she put her arms around her and apparently whispered in her ear, "Don't worry about it, you'll win again."
Yeah.
And she did. And she did.
Kind of breaking royal protocol on being much more compassionate towards people, much warmer. But also she was an ambassador for UNICEF, she was a patron of the Samaritans. She didn't just be a patron of the Samaritans, she actually did the training, answered the phones, did that kind of thing, gave private music lessons, gave up her title.
She taught at a primary school in Hull, taught music.
She did.
And she gave up her title and insisted, it was only the headmistress there knew who she really was. She was just called Mrs. Kent.
And it's amazing. It sounds like a Hollywood film, doesn't it?
Kent also had a flat near them in Notting Hill and gave private music lessons, really did her own thing, and wanted to be known as Catherine or Kate, even Kate, or, you know, worst comes to worst, kind of Lady Catherine, but didn't want the Royal HRH title. Had a difficult, long marriage to the Duke of Kent. They were married for 64 years.
She was a
They went through up and down.
And Princess Marina, who was his mother, didn't approve of the marriage
Didn't approve of him marrying a commoner.
Because
she wasn't she came from an aristocratic family.
Yeah, the Worsleys.
She was Lucy Worsley.
Yes.
From a millionaire family. Her grandfather...
Lucy Worsley?
Yeah, not Lucy Worsley, Catherine Worsley. But her grandfather founded ICI.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how posh they were.
Yeah, they were very, very aristocratic, but she was still considered a commoner.
Common.
Yes. And she was quite reluctant about that marriage. They were sort of courting for about 4 years.
And she converted to Catholicism.
Later in life, yeah.
First time ever a member of the royal family has done so in 300 years.
And had some very, very painful... I mean, she had 3 or 4 children, but then had a very late loss and stillborn babies and real grief in her 40s. Just so much depth to this woman.
They used to talk about that she'd had a nervous breakdown, which is why she faded from public.
I do think it's interesting that we do have kind of such a clear image of her, and most of us would just remember her from Wimbledon. I think that sort of does speak to her that she did just generate that kind of compassion and warmth in the general public, regardless of what you think of the monarchy. So I think that
her life make a movie.
Really, really interesting.
No doubt it will.
It's one of those stories where you feel happy that you've found out a little bit more about this woman.
Yeah.
We've just got a minute left, Jonathan, so should we use at least 45 seconds of that doing online shopping?
So this is a ruling that you can go online at work for 45 minutes on Go Shopping, and it's not a sackable offence. So there was an employee who was sacked. Her company had installed spyware on her computer, and she took them to a tribunal to say they were just looking for a reason to get rid of her, and she won. So there you go.
But can you do that in your lunch break at work, or are they talking about during your working time?
So it's like a fag break, basically, isn't it?
I see.
I suppose.
It's your
I mean, it's not necessarily a sackable offence, I think.
Is it 45 extra minutes of free time when you can do your Ocado or whatever deliveries?
I think there might be an implicit, expectation while you're at your work. You don't necessarily have things to do all the time. You can take little breaks to go on. When I've been working in office, I've always had little tabs open.
Oh, yeah. I think people take the mickey monumentally these days.
Mickey, it's just like having a...
Well, if you're working from home, you put the washing machine on, you walk the dog while you're on a call. No, I think
people
take...
As long as we get our work done, that's the most important
Well,
thing.
thank heavens, we're all safe here.
Yeah,
Not to do it at all. Thank you both. We'll see you a little bit later on.
Time for the weather. Here's Alex Deacon.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, 1 or 2 showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just a threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
You can bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
And with a dynastic touch, George Martin's son, Giles
Giles.
Martin, is involved in all of this.
Yes, so he's the keeper of his father's flame, really, which is very touching.
It's very, very touching. How can it be? I mean, we've been talking about a band here that was playing before we were able to send pictures across the Atlantic. How can a band that is that old cause such excitement today?
Well, it's such a number of elements. They encapsulated so much of the early 20th century music. Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Tim Panally through Paul McCartney's father. He grew up hearing his father playing the piano. He had a big jazz band. They played around Liverpool. So all of that music went into the Beatles' crucible. And I find it so interesting that Decca get ribbed for turning them down. But those early sessions are not showing them at their best. And they say guitar bands are on their way out, but actually it took the Beatles to bring them back and show everybody a completely different scene, a completely different imagination of what guitar music can be. It took the Beatles 3 albums to really get into their stride, because their first 2, let's not forget, were sort of covers in a way. So there's a few of their own songs in there.
Yeah,
but
a lot of covers.
But with Hard Day's Night, it's all their own tracks. And what can I say? The energy of them, the invention of them, when you watch Get Back, you see how much craftsmanship they put into constructing a completely unique song. That's the thing about the Beatles. Each song is so unique. There's no replication in any of their output.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. A major government reshuffle sees David Lammy become Deputy Prime Minister. Yvette Cooper moved from Home Office to Foreign Office, and Shabana Mahmood promoted to Home Secretary.
Well, the dramatic scenes were set in motion following the resignation of Angela Rayner, who stepped down after the report found that she had indeed breached ministerial code by underpaying stamp duty on her new seaside flat.
So what does it mean for the government? What impact will it have on a beleaguered Prime Minister facing that ever-growing threat, in the polls at least, from Reform UK?
We can say, you are the last chance we've got to get this country back on track. We are the last chance the country's got to get this country back on track.
Well, that's Nigel Farage speaking on the first day of Reform UK's conference. He was really rallying the troops, capitalising on the so-called big rift engulfing the government at the moment. But will Reform's theatrics and big promises continue to cut through at a time of such uncertainty? Later on in the programme, we'll ask that very question to Richard Tice.
We'll also be hearing from the newly appointed Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and also newly appointed Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, Darren Jones.
The Duchess of Kent, who became the oldest living member of the royal family following Queen Elizabeth's death, has passed away herself now at the age of 92. We'll be paying tribute to her throughout the programme.
With an ominous warning from Vladimir Putin, who said any foreign troops operating as part of a peacekeeping force in Ukraine would be considered a legitimate target by Moscow. We'll bring you the latest on that.
It's the end of the road for Novak Djokovic at the US Open. Carlos Alcaraz beat the Serb in straight sets to set up tomorrow's final against world number one Yannick Sinner at Flushing Meadow. In football, England face Andorra at Wembley, while England's women take on Australia in the Rugby Union World Cup.
Morning. After a pretty wet week, the weather's calmed down a little bit for the weekend. It's getting quite breezy out there today, but most places dry and fine with some sunshine. The winds strengthen further tomorrow with rain for some of us. Find out where with a full forecast with me coming up soon.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I'm a little bit confused. We were doing a story the other day about house prices falling slightly. It's only slightly, but it's like 0.1%.
Well, it's because the market's a bit unstable at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not moving very much.
And yet, according to this piece here, and it's the Halifax, the average UK house price has jumped to a record high. So typical property prices in the UK, 299,331.
Is that meant to be an average house?
That's average house in an average part of the country, I guess. Yeah. So it's up 0.3% month on month.
No, I don't get that, because up until now we've been hearing that the market is so stagnant that people, the only way you can sell your house at the moment is by dropping the price. So the valuations may be high, but I think in reality...
But this will be based on what it's...
On what they're selling for.
On what they're selling for.
Well, I don't know if anyone watching has had trouble. I've got two very, very good friends who've both had their houses on the market for well over a year now. At the very beginning, a little flurry of excitement, quite a few people going round. Nothing now for the rest of the year.
No.
Absolutely nothing's happening.
So apparently the Halifax saying annual growth has eased slightly, but they're still going, generally, still going up. It's going to depend where you are in the country.
As you mentioned, the time of year is important. It's traditionally September to December is quite a difficult time to sell.
You don't usually put your house on the market in the autumn, winter, do you?
Well, there you go. So
who wants to show people around your house when it's pouring with rain, freezing cold, and and the window is showing damp or something?
Might be a good chance to showcase the fireplace.
Well, that's true.
If you've got a fireplace, very true.
I haven't got a fireplace.
No, I bought one, but I did.
I'm in a pretty modern house now.
I've got one.
I haven't got one. I always look at the walls and think, which wall would I put a fireplace on?
It depends where your chimney is.
No, I haven't got a chimney. That's the point. Yeah. So it'd have to be one of those modern fires.
I was seduced by a fireplace in Manchester back in 2011. Maybe I looked at it in November.
A real one?
Yeah, it was a real one. Yeah. But it vanished by the time it went. They took it with them. But
They took it with them. Oh.
Yeah.
I've always fancied one of those very long glass ones with flames behind the.
But
really modern.
And an embedded TV above it. See, that's called, I've only found that out this week, that's called a media wall.
A media wall?
So whereas you used to just hang a TV on a wall, now it's called a media wall.
Oh, fancy a media wall.
It sounds
I have to do my 45 minutes. Do you mind if I just do my 45 minutes aloud of
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you when we get to the papers.
Yeah, OK.
There you go. Right, well, me and you will crack on with that major government reshuffle, seeing David Lammy becoming Deputy Prime Minister, Yvette Cooper pushed from the Home Office into the Foreign Office.
Well, the scenes, of course, were prompted after a report found that Angela Rayner had indeed breached ministerial code when she underpaid the stamp duty on her new seaside flat in Hove by 40 grand.
So what does this mean for the future of the Labour Party, for the government? Was the Prime Minister, as suggested by Kemi Badenoch, shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic?
Let's get the thoughts of political commentator John Oxley. Do you have any sympathy for Angela Rayner? I mean, her photographs all over the papers yet again. She's been under tough times, hasn't she?
She has been under tough times, and all of this came about because of very unfortunate and very unusual personal circumstances for her. It is a result of this trust that was set up for, as a result of her child who was born very prematurely, and there was a settlement around that, and the combination of that and the divorce meant she was in a position very, very few people are ever in when they are buying a new property, and for whatever reason, didn't get the right advice, didn't get sufficient advice.
Oh, no, hold on.
She was told to take advice which she did not take, which she now admits she didn't take.
That's the thing.
Specialist advice.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, I have a degree of sympathy in that you don't like... Her personal circumstances have clearly been very difficult. However, if there hadn't been a bit of digging by some journalists and a tip-off from somebody over all of this, she'd have got away with this. As Housing Secretary, she would have paid £40,000 less stamp duty than she was meant to and got away with it.
Yes, and, ultimately that is what, was found to be in breach of the ministerial code. I think, what we've seen, though, this was carelessness rather than dishonesty. And so I think, with everything that went on, I think it is unfortunate, and I have more sympathy for her than for, many other politicians that ended up
She
resigning.
hasn't, though, in the past had any sympathy for people who'd been caught out in similar sort of problems. I mean, she's been absolutely ruthless in the way she's
all
spoken
over the
of
internet
others.
now.
Yeah.
And, ultimately that is why, she's had to face the music over this. Other politicians might have been able to ride out what was an honest mistake. But, sort of as you say, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And ultimately, it is better for our politics that we have very little tolerance for even if you make a genuine mistake.
Tell you what, though, it wasn't just the mistake of not paying the 40 grand. It was the mistake of then sitting in an interview and saying she was given the wrong advice.
Yes.
Because she wasn't.
Yes.
She was told to take specialist advice, which she did not take, she now admits. And but she sat there quite brazenly on television in an interview and said that she was given the wrong advice.
Yes, and that's that's one of the things that sort of push this towards the sort of matter where you resign, and is one of the things we repeatedly see in politics, that it is the attempt to shift blame rather than the original problem that goes. And if you sort of hold your hands up at the very beginning, it probably doesn't have to go as far. It's maybe not as damaging.
Yeah, it's like pleading guilty in court. You get a lesser sentence, don't you? Meanwhile, look, she was going to go. It was inevitable she was going to go at some point in the not-too-distant future. Nobody expected, did we, that this would trigger such a major reshuffle?
No. In the past, Keir Starmer had said that he was not going to have any reshuffles or not any big reshuffles within the first 2 years of being in power. There had been a few changes behind the scenes at Downing Street earlier this week, but no one was really expecting this to lead to a sort of full-blooded reshuffle, which is what we've seen.
Yeah, and the timing of it was extraordinary because it was all on day one of Reform UK's big deal, Razzmatazz, huge speech conference, wasn't it? Was it designed to do that? Do you think it might have been a reshuffle that Keir Starmer was thinking of, but suddenly decided, right, let's get into action and do it now in order to grab all the headlines, which, of course, they have done?
I don't think it was exactly that. I think this probably has been brewing for a while. They have been seeing that in certain departments things haven't been going very well. I think in terms of Labour Party management, it would have been very difficult to just replace Rayner and make a few consequential changes and then do another reshuffle in a few months. I think it was more the fact that once you've cleared out this, two pretty important roles, both as Deputy Prime Minister, which doesn't have much power, which is very symbolic, and the housing and local government role, which is really key to a lot of things the government want to do. Once those are open, I think you look at it and say, oh, actually, if we're moving those, we might as well do this reshuffle we've been thinking about for a while. And I think for Reform and the conference, it's just one of those things. Sometimes in politics, you get your big speech on a day when nothing else is happening. Sometimes big news happens and you're unlucky.
All right, John, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you this morning. Actually, we're going to talk more about Reform and the conference in Birmingham now. But before we get into the nitty-gritty... Let's do the superstar...
Yes,
I think we should start this segment with a song. Why not?
I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Staring at the ceiling.
Dame Andrea Jenkins.
Yeah.
On X Factor.
Yeah, she's the mayor of Greater Lincolnshire. She's now obviously a member of Reform UK. Who talked her into doing that? Or maybe she wanted to. Well, she must have wanted to.
It's very hard, isn't it? But maybe it's just different.
And if you're wondering what the song is, it's one she made up years ago, apparently.
About being an insomniac, clearly.
Which is weird again.
I tell you what, so let's continue our musical theme as we head to Birmingham. And please let me introduce, with his own composition, our Deputy Political Editor, Tom Harwood.
What are you going to sing for us, Tom?
Well, I have to say, I think a lot of people here feel like an insomniac after there was an official after-party last night in the main hall, although Andrea Jenkins was not the warm-up act for the Jacksons, who are the remaining members of the Jackson 5, who sang for the assembled Reform members here. But yes, I think Reform does do razzmatazz, sparkle and, frankly, high camp more than just about any other political party. You could see that in Dame Andrea Jenkins' introduction, not only singing her own song from years back that she wrote called Insomniac, but also dressed head to toe in a sort of sequined jumpsuit. I mean, say what you want about Reform UK, but they do spectacle. They do put on a show. And I think we saw that from just about every speech yesterday in the main hall. Although I think speaking to some people, they were a little bit disappointed that actually, despite the spectacle, the fireworks, the sequins, the razzmatazz, it was, after all, a government reshuffle that pushed a lot of those speeches and a lot of those announcements at this conference a little bit down the running order of those news bulletins last night.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Tom. A lot of the commentators are talking about how when Nigel Farage came on stage, it was the white smoke and it was the fireworks, then lesser so for all of the other speakers. I mean, it's been choreographed very, very carefully. But what of the fact that Farage obviously decided not to wait until 4 o'clock in the afternoon to make his major speech, but brought it right forward as soon as Angela Rayner had resigned?
Yeah, that was a significant moment here in the conference hall. The loudspeakers told everyone to stop what they were doing and get inside the main auditorium. The speech was brought forward by 3 hours. That was a significant move from Nigel Farage because ultimately, had he done his speech when it was originally scheduled, I mean, which television channels would have taken it? The government was in the midst of a significant reshuffle. We could see it coming from that point, but it also meant that Nigel Farage was able to get on the front foot in responding to the crisis at the heart of the Labour Party. Now, I do think that there was some pretty competent media management from Number 10 yesterday, making it seem like they were on the front foot, the changes within government becoming the story as opposed to the loss of Angela Rayner. But Nigel Farage bringing that speech earlier meant that he was able to talk not just about what he sees as the sort of decrepit state of the Conservative Party, and of course his speech was punctuated by Nadine Dorries getting up in the middle of it and explaining why she, in her view, says that the Conservative Party is dead and that people should come to join the Reform Party. So not only was that speech turning its sights at the Conservative Party, declaring it dead as a dodo, over, sort of gone to join the choir invisible, but also the Labour Party too, a party that was clearly in crisis at the time that Nigel Farage made that speech. I do think, however, speaking to people last night in and around this conference, they are a little bit disappointed that that big moment, that big speech has been sort of slightly glossed over by the wider goings on in politics. Sometimes that does, of course, happen, but we will be hearing from the main players again today on the stage, and I wonder if they're going to see today as a more significant moment now to get their message across after some of it was drowned out yesterday.
You know what, it struck me, and it seems extraordinary, Tom, that yesterday when we were talking to Zia Youssef, and he was explaining about Nigel's idea for a US-style cabinet of experts, rather than just MPs, which seemed pretty outlandish, almost a bit outrageous at the time. And then amidst this huge reshuffle, where you've got these people now moving into departments that they know nothing about and we're being told to have more confidence in them, suddenly it seems less outlandish, doesn't it?
Well, you could say that. Of course, there have been lots of governments in the past that have taken on members of the House of Lords into roles within the cabinet. I mean, David Cameron as Foreign Secretary was a member of the Lords, but also Gordon Brown, upon becoming Prime Minister, brought a number of people in from outside, from business experience, put them in the Lords, bunged them in the cabinet. We do see that sort of thing. But I think what we're hearing from the Reform Party, and we heard it in Nigel Farage's speech yesterday, was a greater emphasis on how they might prepare for government. Zia Youssef, when you spoke to him yesterday, was the head of Doge UK for Reform, for the Reform Party. Today, he's got a very different job title. He's now heading up the Reform Party's Department for Preparing for Government. This is a party that really does set its sights on number 10. And I think that's what the theme of this conference really is, preparing for government. They call it the next step. But to see this party grow from year on to year on to year. I've been to 3 of these conferences at Reform UK over the last 3 years now. And I have to say, the first one I went was in the sort of back of some dingy hotel. The second one I went was in a space about the quarter of the size of this one. And this year it does feel like a much more significant grown-up party, a full-scale conference with fringe events, with sponsors, with businesses here, speaking to the hundreds of councillors that the Reform Party elected. I mean, it does feel like this party is going much more seriously in its roots to look not just to be an opposition party in the back benches of the opposition benches in the House of Commons, but thinking about how it might govern too. So that wasn't just about Nigel Farage talking about how he might compose a cabinet, but also emphasising his team a lot more. You mentioned, Stephen, that of course he was the only one with the fireworks, and that's true, but if he was very keen to make sure that everyone was looking over to the Reform UK shop, which is just next to our stand here at the GB News stand, which is selling T-shirts, football shirts, which has Farage 10 on the back. But there are some new shirts on show at that shop too. And they're a full team, 11 football shirts. The 4 MPs, of course, the 2 Metro mayors, the member of the London Assembly, the member of the Scottish Parliament, the member of the Welsh Senedd, all of these different people that have sort of been coming along to the Reform Party, the team that Farage is building there. You can see some of the other shirts behind him there. This is what the Reform Party is trying to get across, that they are building a much more competent team, a larger sort of I don't know, a larger roster of individuals in what they hope is a preparation for government. And one of the people who was speaking to the conference yesterday was a guy called Preston Manning. Now, he founded the Reform Party of Canada back in the late 1980s. That was a party that was that went from absolutely nothing to being the 3rd largest party in the Canadian Parliament in the space of just a couple of years. They merged with the Conservative Party and ended up entering government in the space of a decade. Farage wants to do it a lot sooner than that.
He certainly does, yes. Be very interesting to watch the next couple of years, won't it? Tom, thanks very much indeed. We'll be crossing back to you a bit later on, I'm sure, as you did yesterday. I love the little tour that Tom did yesterday. As
he liked it, yes.
Walked us round everywhere, all of the little
He'll be
areas.
doing that again. He loves a walk and talk,
Yeah,
as
no,
we
it
call
was really good to get a flavour of what's going on inside that enormous hall at the NEC in Birmingham.
As I said yesterday, whether you're a supporter of reform or not, you don't have to be, it is a moment of history. Just to see a party like this spring out of nowhere, in effect, and capture the public imagination, or at least 1 in 3, according to a poll yesterday, would vote for reform if there's an election tomorrow. That's just remarkable in this country. We've never seen it before. So something is happening, and that's a fascinating thing to watch, whether you like it or not. In the meantime, hopefully, I think we're going to get a slightly brighter weekend. Here's Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, 1 or 2 showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just a threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
So here's a question. If you are a Labour supporter, what's the mood this morning? Are you feeling elated that Keir Starmer has reshuffled and reformed? Well, not reformed, that's the wrong word, isn't it? But actually, you know, turned over a new page. Or do you feel it was just panic? Do you have confidence in them? We're going to be speaking to a former Labour Party advisor in a couple of moments.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth. Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, look, let's have a chew over what went on yesterday, should we? Because actually, believe it or not, there's more happening today. There's going to be more reshuffles at a more junior level, more sort of ministers and junior ministers reshuffling today. But the PM is making the most of it all, isn't he? The opportunity to have a proper shuffle around. Is it inspirational? Is it a sign of the authority of the Prime Minister?
And
is it desperate?
Do any of us care? If you're not a Labour supporter, you might argue, oh, I don't care, they're all the same. But even if you are a Labour supporter, does it make that much difference?
Oh, that's an interesting point. Well, let's get the thoughts of former Labour advisor Matthew Tubb. Matthew, it's really good to see you, as always. What do you make of what we've seen?
Well, it's been a tricky 24, 48, 1 week, 12 months, whatever you want to call it, really, for the Labour Party. We've made much of the mess has been their own doing. I think it's a very unfortunate mistake Angela Rayner's made, which is forced the Prime Minister's hand a little bit early. I think we'd all been told that there was going to be a reshuffle next week. I did originally think it would have been good to do it this weekend to try and knock reform off the news agenda slightly or knock them down a bit. I didn't expect the Deputy Prime Minister at the beginning of the week to resign, though, to really sort of have that effect. I think there's some positives for Labour people. I think, I'd heard more recently from Labour figures that as long as Yvette Cooper was Home Secretary, those boats would not stop. Shabana Mahmood is a much more hard-line figure within Labour and very much of the blue Labour ilk. There's much hope, I think, from people that she isn't a blocker and therefore may have more of an impact with regards to the immigration issue that's bothering people. I think the ultimate thing is, though, if there's no good news to give, then you can't give people good news. And ultimately, if the two people who are most unpopular in the party still remain, then I'm afraid that rot will continue. The one thing after immigration that bothers people the most is the economy, and we still have the same Chancellor. So therefore, I think the other figures, most people don't really know. Most people don't know who the Cabinet are, to be honest with you, but they will know who the Prime Minister and the Chancellor is.
Yeah, and are you saying that those are the two most unpopular people in government at the moment?
Yeah, you look at stuff that the polls that the Sunday Times did last week. You've got, 61% of Labour voters in 2024 do not believe tax rises are viable and should not happen. Rachel Reeves is going to be forced into doing that because of the backbenchers she's got, not wanting to shave $5 billion off a big government department in the DWP. Keir Starmer is a deeply unpopular Prime Minister by all historical standards. And I think until that changes, there's not much grounds for optimism. When you saw the speech Nigel Farage gave yesterday, I found it deeply depressing being at Reform, mostly because I thought, well, we've probably seen the next Prime Minister speak there. I don't think we've got anybody that can articulate any rebuttals to things he was putting forward that people would go, yeah, I believe you, actually.
Well, you say that, but I was just thinking as well while I was watching, what sort of mood is the next Labour Party conference going to take? Because I can't see it being anything other than miserable.
So this was always my fear. So last year felt very much like a funeral, despite what should have been a victory lap. This time last year, we had the whole issue over Donergate. I was furious, really, that people had not seen how this may have looked to people, how this could have been avoided, and a sort of unforced error. I thought, well, if last year was like a funeral, this year's going to be even worse, and that's before the issues around Angela Rayner. I think the other issues we're going to have is they want a very quick deputy leader election, which seems to me we're going to have a lot of soft left politicians putting themselves forward to basically say on a national stage everything the government's got wrong for the last 12 months and make it really awkward for the Prime Minister. I think the other thing I will just quickly add that nobody seems to have really spoken about is that Angela Rayner probably was a useful shield for Keir Starmer. The right of the party have wanted to get rid of Keir for quite some time now and have been very fed up. The only reason nobody has moved against him is because Angela Rayner would ultimately win a leadership election hands down until this week. Now that isn't the case, I fear for the Prime Minister it will be open season for the next 12 months and he's on quite fragile ground.
Yeah, but, well, the criticism that you've levelled at the Prime Minister so far, well, isn't that potentially a good thing for Labour if they can get rid of a very unpopular Prime Minister and put someone in place who then may be at least able to turn the party round somewhat over the next 4 years?
Yeah, and that's something I would encourage. I've said for some time, I think you have to get somebody from outside the building due to the unpopular policies that we've passed that weren't in the manifesto. To me, the most obvious option is somebody like Andy Burnham, who polls well across the country with all different types of voter bases and cannot be tied to many of those unpopular decisions that would be made because he wasn't there and didn't have a vote and likely has spoken out against lots of them. The reason I'm so despondent is that because the people in and around the Labour Party are so factional, Andy Burnham is not one of theirs, if you will, and they would much rather stick with who they've got or someone similar, get battered in 3 years than give themselves half a chance of trying to win power again at the next general election.
Of course, there is the possibility, because it's happened before with others, that Angela Rayner could come back once she's served some sort of penance.
I thought that at the beginning of the week before we sort of knew the fuller details. It's not impossible. We've seen, in recent years, Nadeem Zahawi come back and take different cabinet roles after sort of a period of rehabilitation. I just think it's too early to say, and she's incredibly tarnished. If we were to get beat at the next general election and Angela manages to hold her seat, is it, unforeseeable that she was, able to come back as a very popular member of the Labour Party? It still will be. Never say never in this sort of world, I suppose, but I think at the moment, highly unlikely.
I'm just intrigued by what you said near the beginning of all this, Matthew, because I know you've been at the Reform Conference and watching what's been going on there, and you think it's you might not have liked what Nigel Farage was saying because of your political position, but you think you think Labour can't rebut it.
Yeah, and I think it's not necessarily Labour's fault. We live in a real era of sound bites and short attention spans, and I think purely because of the last 14 years that people have faced, added into the fact that they were hopeful for change and not quite the change that's been delivered in maybe a worse sense, people's patience is really thin and they want answers. And what Nigel Farage is currently offering, in my view, is simple answers to complicated questions. I don't think they are necessarily the answers, and that's not a political difference. I think it's more complicated than what he's outlining. But I think people are so desperate, they almost feel like they're sinking and he is a life raft they can get on board with, rather than waiting for the deliverism of a government, that might take 3 or 4 years to help them feel better, potentially.
OK. Matthew, really good to talk to you, as always. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, it's an interesting thought, isn't it, that the next Labour conference is going to be even more miserable than the last one. Because the last one, if you remember, we were all... I think everybody was a bit shocked by how down...
bad it was.
Yeah, everyone who got up and spoke talked about how hard it's going to be, how tough decisions are going to have to be made, how nobody's going to like their decisions. Now what do they say?
I don't know. I'm also quite struck by Matthew saying Nigel Farage is giving simple answers to complex questions. And I see his point of saying, well, it also is very complex. But actually, maybe it does all need simplifying and just be really simple about it all. Maybe that's what we need. Yeah, clear the decks and simplify everything and then see where we are. I don't know.
Anyway.
I'm not a politician. We've got the sport in a moment. England facing Andorra in a World Cup qualifier tonight. Aidan's got the details.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Aidan's got the sport for us at 7:39. Morning.
Good morning.
England versus Andorra tonight. It's a test for Tuchel, isn't it? Because he's... I don't know, what do you make of him so far?
Well, look, it's been a little bit underwhelming so far, Stephen. I have to say, part of the problem, and I only learned this morning, is that he's actually played fewer games than pretty much any other England manager in the first kind of 12 months of his reign. I mean, he's only played 4 matches. One of those was against Andorra away, which they won 1-0. They lost at home to Senegal at the City Ground in Nottingham a few months ago towards the end of the season. So there's not been much of a chance to showcase what his team can actually do. The other thing, Anne, is that he's been brought in to deliver the World Cup, which, of course, England have not won, or indeed any other major tournament, since 1966. So he's running out of time to experiment with players. He did say as well in the last couple of days that he wanted to use the first couple of camps to get to know his players, but he couldn't wait too long before he actually sees what he's got in front of him. We can hear from him now speaking at the press conference ahead of that clash with Andorra tonight at Wembley.
Competition is on, and that means we will start with a team that we trust and with the best team possible for this game, and then we will manage the second game. We will not do it backwards and manage theoretically more difficult away game than a home game. We will not start getting caught up in experiments like this.
Of course, the other thing is that England are almost on a hiding to nothing with these World Cup qualifiers because, quite frankly, they should swat away the likes of Andorra tonight. Serbia next week will be a bigger test, particularly as it's away from home. But it's difficult to impress when you're playing such inferior opposition. I'm talking about tonight's game, of course. Andorra very much minnows in world football and indeed European football. And we talked in the last hour about the pressure of wearing the England shirt. Now, the players will probably go out feeling they can only lose in this situation, because although they win the game, they still can be criticised for a poor performance or not scoring enough goals against these sides who, frankly, bank up against England. They make life really, really difficult. That's certainly what Andorra did last time. Sam Allardyce spoke about the pressure of wearing the shirt. He's working on the psychological side to get these players to enjoy playing for their country. Very, very difficult to do when you've not won a major tournament for so many years.
Yeah, well, he's got to talk up the spirit.
He has, indeed.
OK, talking of that, tennis.
Yes.
Carlos Alcaraz. Clearly, is he #1 favourite for US
No,
Open?
I wouldn't say so,
Sinner
because
is.
Sinner is the holder. Sinner could become, tomorrow, having won his match as well, he won his semi-final, he could become the first player to retain the US Open since Roger Federer back in the 2000s, so it's quite a long time ago now. As I say, Sinner got through to the final against Felix Auger-Aliassime of Canada, and before that we saw this magnificent match between Alcaraz and Djokovic. Not magnificent is probably a bit too much, but Djokovic should have won the second set. He needed to win that to make the contest.
He was leading 3-love.
In the second set, yes. He had the break.
Why couldn't he sustain that?
Well, he said, you know, he said in the grab last hour, didn't he? He said that he just struggles with the duration of the game, the longevity. Now he's 38 years old. His limbs
but he
aren't
was
quite
only in
what
the
they were.
second set.
Yes, he was. But I mean, I suppose it's a psychological element as well, isn't it? You know that even if you get it back to 1-1, you need to. There's still a marathon to go to beat a player like Alcaraz, who will always make it difficult. But let's listen to Alcaraz now, reflecting on another Grand Slam final.
It's not easy playing against him, to be honest. I'm not thinking about the legend he is, what he has achieved in his career. It's difficult not to think about it. So that makes facing him even tougher. But you know, I'm just really happy to get my first win against him in the hardcourt and making another final here.
So that's Carlos Alcaraz. It sets up, of course, the prospect of a mouth-watering US Open final. This is the eminent rivalry within tennis now. Yannick Sinner against Carlos Alcaraz. Donald Trump is going to be there first time. He's been at US Open since 2015. We can't wait.
With Melania, who apparently is a big tennis fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Aidan, thank you very much indeed.
Just seats.
Sure, we'll get the best seats. Just a quick bit of breaking news. There's a fire broken out in London. Now, the reason it's important is because it's what you will know as BBC Television Centre. We used to see shots of it all, didn't we, from years ago?
Big Peter and everything.
Yeah, all done there. It then became Television Centre, and it's where a lot of the ITV shows were filmed up until very, very recently. So it's a mixed-use building. There's some flats, there's a restaurant, there's all sorts going on there. But 100 firefighters in attendance.
Which means it's a big one.
It's a big one, about 15 fire engines there. So if we get more details on that, we'll let you know. But Wood Lane, which is an address we all sort of know from our childhood days, isn't it? From
That's right.
Swap Shop and all that sort of thing.
I did a lot of my training there.
Yeah, so that's all shut to the public at the moment. But anyway, we'll bring you more on that as we get the details.
Still to come, find out who could be about to be the world's first trillionaire. That and more in the papers with Jonathan Liss and Emma Wolfe. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, and why wouldn't you be, here's the forecast for the best spots.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, 1 or 2 showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but I say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just a threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west, outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds are up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Honestly, it's all going to kick off in a minute. Oh, look, Emma Wolf and Jonathan List taking us through the papers. What an exciting commercial break we've just had, let me tell you. Let's crack on, because we're a bit tight for time. Tokenistic diversity drive threatens a military. Emma, in the Mail?
Yeah, well, this is James Cartledge, the Shadow Defence Secretary, who is saying, here we go again. He's saying that the plan from the Defence Office to have these kind of targets, tokenistic targets, to recruit ethnic minorities and more women and things like that, could humiliate our military, obviously at a time when it's incredibly important, crucial time for the military that we have a strong defence for this country, very, very unstable situation around the world. He's saying this is going to sideline white recruits and risks doing what happened with the RAF a few years ago.
You can't be box ticking with the military.
You can't be box ticking with the military. You can't be obsessed with ticking the boxes about ethnic minorities and women when what you really need, primarily, first and foremost anyway, is a strong military. Defence sources are saying, hold on a minute, that's not correct. There's no specific targets, but they are keen to recruit people from different backgrounds.
I think that's perfectly fair. I don't think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can say that obviously the important thing is to have a strong military that's sort of military ready, but also to recognise that traditionally the military has sourced its recruits from quite a narrow stratum of society, and that if more people want to join it from groups that have been overlooked in the past, that's all to the good.
Yeah, as long as they can do the job. I don't care.
Of course, but that's always been the way. But that's always been the way, Stephen. There's this kind of this myth on the right that when you have these sort of diversity policies, it means that people aren't good at the job. There's always been a standard. Everyone has to be good enough to do the job. The point is that you're encouraging people who traditionally haven't been looking for those jobs, who've been thinking about them, to actually apply for them.
When just to come in as cadets and they start their training under a regimental sergeant major type person, they will sort the wheat from the chaff.
They will, but let's not forget, and I do need to mention the 2023 controversy, which saw the RAF coming under fire for a secret bid to discriminate against male applicants to become pilots. And that does harm. That does harm the RAF. That does make them weaker. If you're promoting the idea of ethnic minorities and women who may not be as strong over male applicants who would be stronger in the role.
I think, isn't Stephen right that when it comes to the crunch, passing the exams, showing your ability to fly an aeroplane or to fight on the front line, you know, if you're weak in any way at all, you will not be chosen.
As long as those boundaries and those barriers and those bars are set, absolutely, you know, rigid sort of line in the sand.
Right. Now we teased it, Jonathan, so we'll have to mention it. Elon Musk, who is could become a trillionaire.
Is that the world's first?
Yeah, it would be.
Who needs it? Who needs it? I mean, if this isn't enough to sort of turn you into a socialist, I don't know what could be.
Really?
It
just makes
very good at spending other people's.
Capitalist, frankly.
Well, so you want to be a trillionaire? You'd want to be a trillionaire?
I'd love to have so much money. I don't know what to do with it.
No, you wouldn't. What is the point? You'd walk around your life worrying about everyone that you meet because you think, well, do they actually like me for who I am, or they just want a share of my money? There's no need for anyone to be a trillionaire. There's no need for anyone to be a billionaire.
You love spending other people's money. That's what you guys are good at.
Well, whose money am I spending?
Socialist is what you're amazing at. Surely you love trillionaires.
I don't love spending. I do. What you don't believe in taxation now? Is that the line? Yeah. I mean, taxation is important. Yes, I think it's important for the state to be well funded and for public services to be well run.
It now, aren't we?
All right, sadly, we're out of time.
Oh, a shame.
Spend our trillions later. All right, you two. Thank you very much indeed.
Here's the weather now with Alex.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, 1 or 2 showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just a threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
What do you think is the origin of this palace not being loved by the royal family as a place to live?
Well, you see, it's a little bit like an Edwardian hotel in Brighton. It's all long corridors and rooms off them. It's not very friendly as a place, you know. So the Queen and Prince Philip occupied the rooms along the Constitution Hill side. She had half of them and he had the other half. And if ever they came out into a corridor, you know, so it's just not very friendly. And of course, the other thing is that the gardens are now terribly overlooked by the Hilton and other big buildings, whereas the King living at Clarence House, he has a very nice garden there and it's not overlooked at all. I mean, I have seen Prince Philip's rooms because I worked with his office a lot and I did a book about his mother, so I was there quite often. I haven't seen the Queen's rooms, but I'd love to see them.
Yes. And at the beginning of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, the palace was not open to the public at all, was it?
No, it wasn't. And actually, she didn't want to go and live there either. She was living in Clarence House, but Churchill said that it's sovereign's residence and she had to move in. He forced her to move in. That was quite tricky because the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret were still living there at the beginning. And then they moved into Clarence House a little while later, somewhat before the coronation. The only reason that the palace was open as a public tourist attraction was to make money to pay for the fire damage of 1992 at Windsor Castle. And that was so successful that the opening has gone on ever since, and it raises money for the Royal Collection Trust in order to look after all the treasures which are held by the sovereign for the nation.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. A major government reshuffle sees David Lammy become Prime Minister, Yvette Cooper pushed from the Home Office to the Foreign Office, Shabana Mahmood promoted to Home Secretary.
If you've just woken up to that news, wow. The dramatic scenes, of course, were set in motion yesterday following the resignation of Angela Rayner, who stepped down after the official report found that she did indeed breach ministerial code by underpaying stamp duty on her new seaside flat.
So what does all this mean for the government? What impact will it have on a beleaguered Prime Minister who faces an ever-growing threat from Reform UK?
So Keir Starmer brings forward a major autumn reshuffle caused by that resignation of Angela Rayner to take the fight to Nigel Farage's
Reform UK. But will it work? Will it cut his poll lead?
Well, in Birmingham at the Reform UK conference, Nigel Farage rallied the troops, capitalising on the so-called big rift engulfing the Labour government at the moment. But will Reform's theatrics and big promises continue to cut through at a time of uncertainty in Westminster? In just a moment, we'll talk to Reform's Deputy Leader, Richard Tice.
The Duchess of Kent, who became the oldest living member of the royal family following the death of Queen Elizabeth, has now passed away at the age of 92. We'll be paying tribute to her throughout the morning.
It's the end of the road for Novak Djokovic at the US Open. Carlos Alcaraz beat the Serb in straight sets to set up tomorrow's final against world number one Yannick Sinner at Flushing Meadow. In football, England face Andorra at Villa Park, while England's women take on Australia in the Rugby Union World Cup.
Morning. After a pretty wet week, the weather's calmed down a little bit for the weekend. It's getting quite breezy out there today, but most places dry and fine with some sunshine. The winds strengthen further tomorrow with rain for some of us. Find out where with a full forecast with me coming up soon.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, we're going to crack on with the politics, actually, and take you straight to Birmingham. The Reform UK conference is underway, as you'll know, and Deputy Leader is Richard Tice, as you will know, and he joins us now. Good to see you, Richard. Good morning to you. Are you a bit frustrated that...
very good morning to you here from Birmingham.
But what has been the biggest conference season you've had? A lot of enthusiasm, fantastic results in the polls at the moment, and yet you all ended up being a little bit overshadowed yesterday by the goings-on in Westminster.
You mean the chaos and carnage of what's left of Starmer's cabinet? Look, there is a mood of hope and optimism here at this incredible Reform conference because our thousands and thousands of members and delegates, we see light at the end of the dark tunnel of socialism that we're all stuck in at the moment. And our leader yesterday said, get ready for a general election in 2027 because the reality is that this government is falling apart in front of our very eyes in a mire of sleaze and financial chaos, and the bond markets are rebelling. So this cannot go on for another 3 3/4 years.
Can you explain what it was like for you and Nigel Farage yesterday when you heard that, or you realised that Angela Rayner was about to resign, or you knew she had resigned? And we know that Nigel was going to give his speech much later on. You decided to bring it forward. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, we knew that Labour were going to try and deliberately carry out their reshuffle in the middle of Nigel's speech, which was set for around about 4 o'clock time. So that's the thing, you see, we're adept, we're smart, we can be nimble, we can move. So we adjusted the programme, moved Nigel forward, and once again we stole a march on the lumbering dinosaurs of the deep socialist Labour government. And we'll be talking, we've got some great events and speakers and fringe events today. We've got a very special guest later on stage, and then I'll be speaking also about how actually we can get the economy motoring again despite the gloom of the crisis with government finances at the moment, how we can save massive amounts of wasteful government spending all over the place, cut daft regulations. That's what I'll be focusing on to make us all more prosperous again. That's what I think all of your viewers and listeners want.
I'm intrigued by this idea of 2027. Look, nothing like being prepared early, admittedly. But if you're going to be ready for government by 2027, you've got a lot of work to do. We were talking to Zia Youssef yesterday, who admitted, you're putting forward these policy ideas that may be detailed in and of themselves, but they're like individual pieces of a jigsaw, and we're yet to see the big picture. We're yet to see them all interconnect, to see how we're going to have a coherently run country. You've got a huge amount of work to do.
Hey, listen, we're not afraid of hard work, rolling our sleeves up and getting stuck in. That's why we've grown so incredibly quickly. That's why you had the detail of the detention and deportations policy last week. patience is a virtue, Stephen, and I think you'll see over the coming months lots more really fantastic policies that appeal to the nation, and people know that they can trust us. When we say we're going to do something, we get it done, we work it out, and we will be getting ready. And of course, yeah, we've got to work incredibly hard, but that's what we're good at because we've got a successful track record of that, and that's why I think we're leading in every national poll, the last 100 or so national polls, on average now by 9, 10, sometimes 11, 12% ahead of the collapsing Labour Party.
One of the intriguing ideas that Nigel Farage put forward in his speech was that actually, in order to sit in cabinet, to be part of government, you don't actually have to be an MP. You could be a specialist brought in, a business person or something like that. Do you feel, intriguingly, that the reshuffle that was happening in Downing Street almost illustrates that point, that at the moment we have a system where ministers can be a specialist in one department 1 minute and then suddenly move to another?
Yeah, it's a real issue within the way that we do governing in this country, is that you have basically sort of policy wonk think tank people who've been special advisors who end up running major departments like the NHS, like the Ministry of Defence, with no expertise whatsoever. And that's why actually having a blend of really experienced wisdom and knowledge about a particular department, blend that with people who are elected, can be the best of all worlds. And Nigel spoke about that. A couple of other critical things that Nigel talked about. One was that we've got barristers working to ensure that we end the nonsense of our veterans and military personnel being sued years after events. We're going to stop all of that. And Nigel announced that we're going to prescribe the organisation Muslim Brotherhood that is already prescribed in large parts of the Middle East. And I can tell you already, that has gone down very, very well with many of our international partners.
Yeah, but we were talking to a former Labour advisor in the last hour, and Matthew Torbett, you'll know him, and he was at the conference yesterday, actually, and he's no fan of the current Labour government, it has to be said. But his criticism of Nigel Farage is that he seems to give simple answers to complex questions. Now, the criticism there, I guess, is there's not enough depth to the answers.
Oh, I think, frankly, there's nothing complex about deciding that you want to prescribe the terror group Muslim Brotherhood. Nothing complex about that at all. Many other nations have already done so. Frankly, we've been weak and feeble because of our Foreign Office in not doing that currently. There's nothing complex about deciding that you want to stand up and protect our brave military veterans and protect them from ridiculous lawfare. Actually, this stuff just requires courage, conviction, principle, and that's who we are, and that's why we're leading in the polls.
We've had several people already getting in touch saying that even if you feel that you've been overshadowed slightly on the front pages today, actually membership zoomed up yesterday for Reform UK. And I know that you're giving a big speech today. Is there anything particular you're going to stress today?
That's right, we blasted through 240,000 members yesterday, and many more are joining literally as we speak. And yes, I'll be talking about how actually we're already having a huge influence on the way that things are being done in this country, whether it's with regard to the Bank of England, whether it's with regard to net stupid zero. I'm having a huge influence on the debate, the issue of the ridiculous renewable subsidies. So I'll be expanding on that, and also the influence on council spending. I had a big press conference earlier in the week. I'll be reinforcing that. So in a sense, talking about how actually we're already making waves, making a difference, and people can see that's just the beginning.
It's the very last point, Richard. I want to know, and this is crucial, what your opening number will be before your speech.
My opening number. You'll have to wait, you'll have to stand by and watch it, Stephen. I couldn't possibly give you that exclusive this morning. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm looking forward to the sequins,
yes,
nevertheless.
Absolutely.
Richard Tice, always good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Maybe that's the way all politicians have got to come on stage now. Follow that, literally.
I quite like it, really, I do.
That was after Dame Andrea gave a big... I mean, she walked on in this... She looked spectacular, I have to say.
And then sang her own song.
And sang her own song. And something we've never really seen before from a politician.
All right, let's head to Downing Street, should we? Our political editor, Chris Hope, is there for us. I mean, it's just going to be fascinating, Chris, to see... I mean, we've got more of a reshuffle happening today, haven't we? But just to see if the Prime Minister's going to try and look as though he's asserting his authority over the last 24 hours, or whether he's looking desperate as a result of all of this.
Yes, morning Steve, morning Anne. That's right, welcome back to Downing Street. Day 2 of this ministerial reshuffle. It's the junior level, the Ministers of State, numbers 2, 3 and 4 in each department. We'll find out who they are. Will there be a complete shake-up in the Home Office, as some are thinking, because frankly, so far that department has failed to tackle the small boats, looking at 50,000 crossings so far this year. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, she is seen as a tough nut. She dealt with the problems presented to her in her department from the last Tory government pretty effectively, and she could be the person who can try and take that fight to the small boats. But of course the government is working within quite narrow confines, unwilling to take the big risk, maybe leaving the European Convention on Human Rights the kind of blaster gun to deal with that problem. So wait and see how that plays out. But I think we are seeing a reshuffle yesterday that was brought forward from later this autumn by that resignation by Angela Rayner. I mean, I couldn't quite believe how far it went. I started yesterday morning at the Reform UK conference, dashed here to London, and by the evening we're looking at a completely reshaped cabinet. 2 new names came in. Emma Reynolds, of course, at the Environment Department, and also Douglas Alexander is now the new Scottish Secretary. Otherwise, everyone was moving around into different roles. The target of this isn't really the Tory party for me. It's that the person you were speaking to just moments ago, Richard Tice, the Reform UK Deputy Leader, and Nigel Farage. Will it work? Other positives maybe for the government from yesterday, I think, is giving Pat McFadden that role in work and pensions, plus other skills areas and growth. The big problem this government's got is getting people back to work. 6 million on stay-at-home benefits. They should be getting to work, or as many of them should be getting to work as can happen. Pat McFadden is a veteran of the Tony Blair government. He knows how this place is wired. He knows how to make things happen. They've got to get into this ballooning benefits bill. He could be the guy to do it. Later we'll be talking to Darren Jones on Breakfast about how he thinks this can deliver the government's priorities. But so far, this is a reset, a reshuffle. Other governments have done it too, 15 months in. It was brought forward, though, by Angela Rayner leaving.
Yeah, do you think there will be any other big names that we'll hear about today that will cause a bit of a rumble? Or is it just mostly people that we probably don't know very well at all?
Well, today's a day when I think the mark is put on people who might be promoted and be the front-facing politicians at the next general election. Today's a day when Sir Keir Starmer can look at those MPs elected for the first time in 2024 and give some of them their first taste of government, and for others being lifted up through the ranks. It's Sir Keir Starmer doing a bit of succession planning, as some of the other current ministers may not be in the same roles at the next election. Who can he see who will be the people to take forward this government into the second term he wants? He has said before he wants to govern for 10 years. Who in the team appointed today does he see joining him on that journey? Yvette Cooper, of course, is the new Foreign Secretary. Friends of hers tell me overnight she'll be using that role to focus on the small boats crisis and trying to use what she's learnt in the Home Office on the foreign stage. So I think lots of ministers moving around different roles, trying to find ways to deliver for the Prime Minister. It was a surprising reshuffle and brutal, if you like. Ian Murray, who was the Scottish Secretary, he was with the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, the day before yesterday. Obviously no mention of this reshuffle, and of course he was then reluctantly moved yesterday, and others of course were sacked. So it does show a degree of spine in Sir Keir Starmer, but will it work? Will it actually bring back that enormous poll lead for Reform UK?
OK. Chris, thanks very much indeed. See you in the next hour with Darren Jones. That should be an interesting interview.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see if anything else happens today that, that really means something to people.
I mean, if they do clear out the Home Office, I mean, look, I don't think many people would cry too many tears about that. It's a failing department. But also, it also begs the question, why has Yvette Cooper been put in the Foreign Office, and does it immediately damage her position in that role, saying, well, she's completely failed in the Home Office?
Well, but you could have almost anticipated something was going to go for her, because she wasn't around in the summer when things were at a crisis.
Yeah.
Is that a sign of somebody who knows that they're probably for the next reshuffle?
And also, she's someone leading a department which is dealing with the issue which is top of the agenda for most people in this country, and she would not appear on this channel. Well, she did on very, very rare occasions, but when all this stuff was happening, she'd appear on every other channel, but not on this channel. There are more people watching this channel.
Yes, but her husband's on another channel.
On the other channel. Well, yeah, there's people watching that one because it's terrestrial, but nevertheless, yeah, she's quite happy to be interviewed by her husband, but not by us.
That was weird, wasn't it?
Doesn't want to talk to you. Now, that I find very disappointing.
That's what annoys me about politicians who take a stand like that, because what they're doing is insulting the audience.
Yes.
Not us. No. We couldn't give a what's it. I mean, except we do, actually. But the most important thing is if she really believes in her message, in the defence of her actions, then she should be defending her case to you.
Yes, because you're the voters.
Yeah.
And you need to win the voters over, don't you? Anyway, seem to have forgotten that. Doesn't matter as much in the Foreign Office.
Are we going back up to Birmingham?
Yes.
See what Tom Harwood has found out, who he's bumped into right now. He's up there at the Reform UK conference at the NEC in Birmingham. Hi there, Tom. Oh,
it's at the
you're all
bar.
a bit lonely.
Whoops, sorry. I didn't see you there. No, clearly a big night last night here at the Reform Party conference. I have to say, not all of these are mine. The clear-up operation is going on here in the Birmingham NEC. I have to say, we did actually ask one of the people clearing up to just leave that table to give you a sense of what was going on last night in here. Across the whole exhibition space, there were different receptions. In fact, there was the Scotland reception with Reform's new Scottish MSP hosted just in that little part of the venue. But I thought I'd give you a little walk and talk before the members are allowed in, before the day two of the conference gets going, because what we have here is perhaps the largest and most professional Reform conference that we've seen put on by the party to date. Not only is there one big Reform bus that people might be familiar with, but actually there are, I think 4 more buses here that are used as meeting rooms for people conducting meetings throughout the conference. That's put on by a company called First Bus, but there are other sort of sponsors here as well, corporates like this sort of gold sales company and visual communications experts and blockchain infrastructure companies. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is that there are more sort of exhibitors here than I've seen before at a Reform conference. What it feels like is this is a party that is growing up, that is feeling a little bit more like some of those other party conferences, where there's sort of events going on. There are fringe events, there are exhibitors, there's even a Reform Party shop. Now, we've seen the Reform Party shop just a little bit, but before it opens, I wonder if I can just sort of step inside here, if we can run along and see some of these now famous football shirts that have Farage 10 on the back of them. They were very keen to say yesterday that they have produced some more shirts with the names of other MPs, with the names of the new Assembly member in Wales, the Senedd member, the Scottish Parliament member, and indeed the London Assembly member too. The Reform Party wants to get across the idea it's not just a one-man band, although I'm fairly sure it does come across as a little bit of a one-man band, where you can see Nigel Farage's enormous smiling face there, just sort of looming over the conference, because after all, that is the big asset of the Reform Party. If we remember back to what this party was like just a few years ago, before Nigel Farage took over the party again, before he jumped back into that leadership role, it was not really anywhere in the polls. I think Nigel Farage as an individual has been able to take this party to new heights. But the real question of this party conference, the question that has been adorned banners that we've seen on the entrance to the conference has been, well, can they prepare for government? Can they grow up as a party? We can see, of course, they've elected hundreds of councillors. In fact, here is the councillors' lounge that is there for those newly elected councillors. As I say, I've bumped into quite a lot of them over the course of this conference. The question is, can they continue that success, and can they prove themselves in executive governance roles? Well, this conference is going to be about the Reform Party growing up, and it'll have to be a big question that has to be answered as to whether they can prove their worth, as to whether or not they can go from campaigning to actually making those decisions in those roles, delivering for people, whether that's in local councils or, crucially, some of those elections next year.
Tom, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. We'll have another tour with you a little bit later on.
Yeah,
it's fascinating to see.
It's interesting looking around. It's very interesting as well. They've given so many big areas there to their councillors, because those councillors are very important to them.
They are. But also the one big thing, I think, which makes a difference is things like the various lounges being sponsored by big corporates. One by Heathrow Airport, I can't think who the others are now, but big corporate sponsors. Now, what that tells you is that they're taking it seriously.
Yes.
And they're not shying away from it.
Business has confidence in them, or the way they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I just find it interesting. I know people assume we're being party political. Absolutely, we're not. However, I think it's fascinating to see the enthusiasm at one conference when we know, obviously, the Labour conference is going to be very difficult. I think the Conservative conference is going to be very middle of the road, if anything at all. They've not got much to crow about at the moment. Lib Dems, well, they always seem fairly happy, come what may, don't they?
Maybe Ed Davey will come out in sequence with a song of his own.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But at the moment, who else's conference is going to be that upbeat?
And it makes a difference for people watching it, don't they?
Doesn't it? We don't want to be told, our country, all the time that, we're going to have to face hard times and that things are going to get worse before they get better. That is one of the last things you'd ever vote for, isn't it? You vote for hope, don't you?
Yeah, no, it's strange, isn't it? Of course, there's lots of coverage of reform as it's underway. We will, of course, be doing the same for the Conservative conference and the Labour Party conference when they get underway, because we are in what we call conference season.
Yes, we are.
So we're setting up GB News stands at all of them, so we'll have lots of coverage of exactly what's going on there as well.
Until then, shall we find out if the weather's going to be kind to us? Because it's very significant at the moment, because there's going to be a lunar eclipse tomorrow night, and we need clear skies for that. Here's Alex Deacon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, one or two showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just a threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, how do you fancy getting your hands on a prize package worth more than £104,000, including...
Yes, a new 4-berth motorhome and then also an extra 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here's all the details you need.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's 8:30 and the Duchess of Kent, Catherine, has passed away peacefully at home at the age of 92.
The Prince and Princess of Wales have paid tribute by praising her for working tirelessly to help others, and they described her as a much-missed member of the family.
Well, the King, Queen and rest of the royal family are in mourning, Union flags at half-mast at royal residences around the country.
Of course, we haven't heard about her for a very long time because she sort of faded out, deliberately out of public life for a long time. But when you read about her backstory, where she came from, who she was, what really motivated her in life, she's fascinating. Let's talk now to royal commentator Rafe Hadel-Mancu. Good morning, Rafe.
Good morning, Anne.
I mean, I knew something of her because we used to see her at Wimbledon at the finals giving the trophies because she was a patron of Wimbledon and she took that job very seriously for a long time. But there was so much more to her.
That's right. Well, that's how she's best remembered. She actually wasn't a patron at Wimbledon. She didn't actually hold any official capacity. It was her husband, the Duke of Kent, who was the patron. Now, of course, it's the Princess of Wales. But as the wife of the Duke of Kent, she, for 30 years, would present the ladies' singles trophy and also would comfort those who had lost and console them. Most famously, of course, Jana Novotná in 1993, to whom she offered her shoulder to cry on. And I think that was a very revealing scene because it really did show the true nature of the Duchess of Kent. Not the most famous member of the royal family, of course, but for those who knew her, or those who actually knew something about her, she was definitely one of the most admired for her compassion and her elegance and her individuality. And yes, a remarkable life. You know, at the time of her death, she was the oldest member of the royal family and the first royal in 300 years to convert to Catholicism. She took her faith very deeply. She was very involved with the Catholic charity Passage, which was set up by Cardinal Basil Hume, who was the cardinal who converted her to Catholicism. That, of course, is the famous homelessness charity with which Prince William is now so heavily involved. And indeed, there are lots of comparisons one could make with Diana, both essentially brought up as English country girls, not expecting to have the life of a royal. The Dukes of Kent famously always married foreign royals, so it was a big step away for the Duke to marry a commoner, but also very keen to carve out her own role in life. As you say, she fulfilled her royal duties with great care and dedication for much of her life, but she retired at the normal age of retirement from public life, but she didn't retreat into splendid isolation. She became a primary school music teacher in London and also in Hull, and there she was known simply as Mrs. Kent. She was very keen. She dropped the HRH, and she was very keen to be known just as anybody else. And anyone who met her in a private capacity who wasn't aware of her royal status wouldn't have a clue that actually she was married to the grandson of King George V and the first cousin of Queen Elizabeth.
She was born Catherine Worsley. She came from a very posh aristocratic family, but not a royal family. And I gather Princess Marina, who was the Duke's mother, didn't approve at all. In fact, didn't they sort of send him off around the world or something, hoping that he would forget about her? But he didn't. At first, it was very much a love match.
That's right. I mean, we often think about, of course, now it's quite common for members of the royal family to marry, you know, English debutantes, let us say. But it was quite, for the Dukes of Kent particularly, who always tended to marry foreign royals, this was a big break with tradition, and it did raise eyebrows. Her father was a baronet, so not quite an aristocrat, but certainly part of the title classes of this country. And she lived in a grand estate in the 18th century. Since the 18th century, they had lived in Yorkshire in the hall that they were in. But perhaps it's also raised eyebrows because I think she's the only member of the royal family to descend from Oliver Cromwell, the Lord Protector of England, who infamously ruled the country after the execution of King Charles I.
Yeah, and I gather also, sorry, I've just been reading up about her. I just find her fascinating, that her grandfather founded the chemical company which became ICI.
That's right, and that was the main source of their wealth. So they were a very, very well established and successful family. And of course, that was also part of the issue marrying into the royal family is, of course, the distinction between land and trade. And wasn't seen as being very, very smart or very good in those days for amongst the smart set to ally yourself necessarily with industrialists, rather than those, of course, whose wealth came from land. But as I say, she was a lady who everyone could connect with in some way. Also, a woman of remarkable musical taste. I mean, music was her great passion. She didn't have a formal education. She learned the piano and the violin at school. She went up to Oxford to learn music and also the finishing school and so forth. But she was always keeping with the times. You know, she was on BBC Radio 4's Desert Island Disc, where she played Mozart's Ave Coram. But then at the same time, she said she liked gangster rap. She was a great fan of Eminem and also of Dido and liked rap music too. So a remarkable lady.
It's quite extraordinary.
Apparently
She's more with it than I have.
She taught some of her pupils how to play rap and things like that, didn't she? She wasn't a fuddy-duddy in any way at all. But I remember talking about her, certainly in the 80s, we were all sort of told she's had a nervous breakdown. She's frail.
Yes, so what happened was in the 1970s, she had a stillborn son called Patrick, and she has 3 children alive today, all very active in society and also serving in some capacity they can the nation. But it was the death of her stillborn child that led to her essentially retreating from public life for a bit. In those days, of course, one couldn't discuss mental health issues, and so the official line from the palace was that she was suffering from nervous exhaustion. However, of course, we later had it confirmed years later that, of course, she went through a great period of depression. And depression was something, a black dog that did hang around her, and, of course, explained in part why she felt more comfortable not being so front and forward in public life, preferring much more to deal with people on a one-on-one basis, which is where she was most comfortable. And she wasn't shy to talk about it at all. And she did say, you know, the public-facing role in life isn't what she was made out for. It wasn't part of her character.
OK, Rafe, there we must leave it, but good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, though, because still to come, world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz has beaten Djokovic in straight sets to reach the final of the US Open. We'll get more with Aidan in just a minute.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, quick look at the sport with Aidan.
Indeed. Can I focus on Novak Djokovic? We may not get too many more opportunities to discuss Djokovic in...
Oh, I hope he gets one more Grand Slam.
That would put him on 25 ahead of, ahead of outright Margaret Court. Yeah, exactly. So, look, he gave it a good shot yesterday. He lost the first set. I mean, he was broken in the first game of the match, which didn't set a good tone. But in the second set, and he was 3-0 up, and he knows better than anyone that you need to close out those advantages, particularly when you're playing against an elite player of the calibre of Carlos Alcaraz. It wasn't to be. He surrendered in the third set, and here's what he had to say after that defeat against Carlos Alcaraz last night.
I ran out of gas after the second set. I think I had enough energy to battle him and to keep up with his rhythm for 2 sets. After that, I gassed out, and he kept going. So that's kind of what I felt this year, also with Yannick. Best of 5 makes it very, very difficult for me to play them, particularly if it's like the end stages of the Grand Slam. I'm not giving up on Grand Slams in that regard. Having said that, I'm going to continue fighting and trying to get to the finals and fight for another trophy at least.
Now, Djokovic was somebody whose conditioning, especially in intense extremes of weather, was always on point. It never let him down. And I just think that if you're just playing Grand Slams as he is, he has to manage his schedule. He's finding the 5-setters very tough these days. Then that's kind of removing some of his power in some ways, because he was always able to outrun his opponents.
Do you know, if he hadn't done what he did about the Australian Open during lockdown.
2022, yeah.
If he, and I'm not criticising him in any way, but if he hadn't taken that stance, he might well have won that. And then
You're absolutely right. That's a really good point, because Nadal won that one. I mean, he was among the favourites, Nadal, but he wasn't fancied to win that tournament.
I mean, Djokovic could have won.
That's a really good point. I wonder if he regrets that, because it was a Medvedev and Nadal final. Nadal took it after being 2 sets down. But yeah, maybe a source of regret in years to come. But look, I mean, I think it's not the last we'll see. He'll certainly give it a good shot of getting the 25th Grand Slam. But Alcaraz as well, he's through. It's going to be a mouth-watering final tomorrow night, because Yannick Sinner I wouldn't say eased through. He took 4 sets to beat Felix Auger Aliassime.
He's very much the young talent at the moment,
yes,
isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And he's got youth on his side.
Exactly, and I think that Yannick Sinner is the holder. He could become the first player since Federer at the US Open to win it in successive years.
It's tomorrow evening, isn't it?
Tomorrow evening, I think about 8 o'clock, which I think is roughly about 3 o'clock in local time. Donald Trump will be there alongside Melania, who we believe is a big tennis fan. The first time he's been to Flushing Meadow for the final since 2015.
Oh, well, they'll have good seats.
They will. I would have thought so.
I think so. All right, Aidan, thank you very much.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Right, do stay with us, because obviously we're going to be going through the papers in a few moments with Emma and Jonathan. There they are, already doing their homework, including nightclubs allowing partners to bring their own booze. Oh, no, do I mean partners or partiers?
Partiers.
Well, we'll find out. Meanwhile, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. We may see a few showers over the Balearics during the course of Sunday. Meanwhile, it's looking fine in Italy. Lots of sunshine for Greece and most of Turkey too. Just a few showers inland. Most of the beaches staying dry and sunny. There will be a few showers, as I said, heading south across Mallorca, perhaps affecting Ibiza as well, and northern parts of Tunisia seeing a little bit of rain. And there's a weak weather front which may bring thick cloud and the odd spot of rain to the Algarve on Sunday. That clears away though by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dan.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, we're going through the papers with Emma Wolfe and Jonathan Liss. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning.
Let's have a look at the Daily Mail, because we've got this emergency phone thing tomorrow, haven't we?
So here's my question. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, will your phones be on?
Yes.
Because if they are, we're all going to get this high-pitched squealing. I think it's a siren goes off.
Yes.
Our mobiles will vibrate, and then they'll make a siren noise for 10 seconds, which is all a bit weird and Orwellian. Anyway,
like it. It's Orwellian, Emma.
I'm quite excited.
You like it?
Yeah.
Why would you like it?
He just loves the drama.
I do like a drama.
Oh, it makes you feel like part of a thing.
Yeah,
Well,
I like
you'd like
it.
to know that your phone works enough for you to get the alert if it ever was real?
So these alerts are designed for whether we have like extreme weather events or a terror attack or something like that.
We need to know.
To that you could be alerted.
We have existed for centuries. Human beings, we've got through the entire 20th century
That's what people
without
said
having
about
emergency
antibiotics.
alerts.
I mean, people we can improve things.
My phone's Chinese, though, so I don't know where it'll actually go off. It'll probably just say, everything's fine.
Come to an unspecified building.
I think that it's useful, and it's completely the norm in other countries, that when you do have a national disaster and the government needs to communicate with you, just please evacuate this place or whatever, it's a useful way of communicating. I don't think there's anything
But what happens if you are at the Globe Theatre watching 12th Night?
Well, this is the strange thing. The Globe are going to pause they're going to pause 12th Night tomorrow during a performance for this 3 p.m. emergency alert, which seemed a bit odd because when you're in a theatre, you know, you have all sorts of rules about how to evacuate.
You should have your phone on airplane mode anyway in the theatre.
Exactly. They won't. The phones won't.
Most people just have them on mute.
I was
and it'll bypass that.
But it just seems odd that they're pausing the performance for the 3 p.m. alert.
If Sirens Be the Food of Love play on.
Oh, right.
But what if you're in an aeroplane or something?
Well, you would have your airplane mode on there.
Many places it's not going to work.
No, it won't override it.
That cuts your signal off.
So, yes, if your phone is off or if you've got it on airplane mode, then it won't go off.
Mind you, talking of aeroplanes...
Oh, yes.
Talking of aeroplanes...
Talking of aeroplanes, nice segue. So we have Ryanair, our favourite airline. I was talking about Ryanair the other day on this channel when they have this new incentive to their staff to catch you out on the baggage allowance. They're giving it £1 extra. They're giving them £1 extra if they catch you out. So this time, Ryanair is urging passengers who suffer air traffic control delays to email the Transport Secretary, Heidi Alexander, who stayed in place yesterday, to complain. And the airline's including her personal parliamentary email address on a website named Air Traffic Control Ruined Your Flight. So this is Ryanair putting their hands up saying, it's not me, Gov, when your flight's delayed, as it so often is, with Ryanair and other airlines occasionally as well.
But it's often down to air traffic control or...
To be fair to them, I'm not in a position to gainsay what they are claiming, which is that some countries in Europe have very good air traffic control systems and they're not responsible for the delays. And other countries such as ours, I think Spain, I think France was one that they listed, do have these sort of log jams in their systems, which lead obviously to air traffic control delays around Europe.
Well, actually, why not, though? Why not email the Secretary of State?
But it's not her personal email address. I could Google Heidi Alexander and you'll get Heidi Alexander's constituency office email address. That's all it'll be. Frankly, our airports are a complete and utter mess. When Heathrow, when the little substation down the road in Uxbridge, you know, had a fire back in April, Heathrow basically shut down. We had it again over the summer. Absolute disaster. It's one of, I think it's Europe's busiest airport, in fact.
Well, I mean, that's got nothing to do with air traffic control, obviously, but yeah.
Well, airports, air traffic control, it's all part of the same system. Our travel infrastructure is not fit for purpose.
Heathrow is a privately owned airport.
We all need to calm down.
Have a cup of coffee.
No, we should go out clubbing.
Oh, right, I thought you were going to talk about coffee.
We should chill out and go out clubbing.
Yeah.
Well, that help?
I've no idea. I've no idea. But we can now take our own booze.
Yeah. So there's a nightclub in Manchester, XLR, is to become the UK's first bring-your-own licensed nightclub. The 200-capacity venue has installed lockers for punters to store alcohol behind its bar, where staff will pour out drinks or issue cans upon request. Now, I love this idea because, if you just fancy your own tipple, well, I mean, people will presumably pay a hefty entrance fee. Maybe there'll be a corkage fee. Who knows? Yeah. It's actually good. It is a good question, actually.
How on earth are they going to make money?
Yeah, I don't know, because they all make money off the bar.
I mean, we've had BYOB dinner restaurants for decades.
Yeah.
And now they've got clubs where people are going to bring their own booze.
At least at a restaurant, you're eating their food.
Yeah, exactly.
You're sitting down and you just...
The only thing that clubs do is run a bar to make money. I mean, you might pay a £5 on the door. I haven't been clubbing for so long, I don't know what the entrance...
It's fantastic.
Are you a clubber?
Yeah, I go clubbing all the time. Love it.
Do you really?
I really don't sound so surprised.
Oh, it becomes an anathema when
I know. It's really hard to remember how horrible, how much fun it was, but how...
Plenty of people in their 50s go clubbing, Stephen.
I know.
Right, we're out of time.
Here's the weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, 1 or 2 showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just a threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Pasquale, what makes a pizza Neapolitan? What is different about a pizza from Napoli, from Naples?
It's soft. First of all, it's cooked in a traditional oven, which is mostly handmade with a particular kind of brick, cooked at a certain temperature. And it's cooked at like a very high temperature, cooks in 50 seconds. Wow. That gives that softness and moisture, which is normally like you don't have in the other kind of pizza, which are more crispier.
Yeah.
You have to eat it folded. It doesn't, yeah.
You have to eat
people think
folded.
Correctly.
Like that.
Yeah, perfect.
What's this one I'm going to chomp into here? What's this one?
That's one of our classic, one of the staple. After the margherita, it's the best-selling pizza. That's Caterina, Santa Caterina, salame and chili. It's one of the best-selling, one of our classics, one of our staple pizza.
Gentlemen, it's absolutely marvellous. Angela, does Naples claim to have invented the pizza? Was it invented in Napoli, do you think?
There's a lot of question about it. I'm not sure, but definitely Neapolitans, it's what they made the stable as a food in worldwide, basically. I think they've managed to push it towards the simplicity of this food as a very popular food, and basically starts to be a food for the people. It was everybody were having pizzas, easy to make in a way, simple to eat. You can fold it, you can bring it with you.
It's fantastic.
And, yeah.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. A major government reshuffle sees David Lammy become Deputy Prime Minister, Yvette Cooper moved from the Home Office to the Foreign Office, and Shabana Mahmood promoted to Home Secretary.
The dramatic scenes were set in motion, of course, following the resignation of Angela Rayner, who stepped down after the official report found that she had indeed breached ministerial code by underpaying stamp duty on her new seaside flat.
So what does it all mean for the government? What impact will it have on a beleaguered Prime Minister facing an ever-growing threat from reform?
And say, you are the last chance we've got to get this country back on track. We are the last chance the country's got to get this country back on track.
Well, that was Nigel Farage, of course, rallying the troops at the Reform UK conference in Birmingham. He capitalised on the so-called big rift engulfing the Labour government. Will Reform's theatrics, though, and big promises continue to cut through at a time of such uncertainty?
But we'll get the thoughts of the newly appointed Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and also newly appointed Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, Darren Jones.
And here at the Reform Party conference, there's a big question of credibility. What will day two have in store? We'll be here with all the action.
Elsewhere in the world, an ominous warning from Vladimir Putin, who has said any foreign troops operating as part of a peacekeeping force in Ukraine would be considered a legitimate target by Moscow.
Morning. After a pretty wet week, the weather's calmed down a little bit for the weekend. It's getting quite breezy out there today, but most places dry and fine with some sunshine. The winds strengthen further tomorrow with rain for some of us. Find out where with a full forecast with me coming up soon.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I do feel very much like I'm shouting all of a sudden this morning. Am I? Do I sound normal?
Yeah, but
fine.
It's because you've gone slightly deaf in one
this
ear.
just in the last sort of hour or so. I don't know what's going on, but I do feel like I'm shouting. So if I'm shouting at you this morning, I do apologise.
No, I really don't think you are. It just hears it in your own head.
It's odd, isn't it? I can feel my heart beating in my ear.
Ooh.
Which is really weird.
Very strange.
It's all very, very odd.
It's usually something to do with the onset of a cold or something, but
is it?
just had that? Haven't you just
No, I
had
didn't have a cold, no.
Oh, maybe
but
I had one.
I had something else last
things
weekend.
are gumming up, doesn't it?
Oh, does it? Oh, lovely.
I think so, yeah.
Well, that's a pleasant
really
thought,
nice to
isn't
talk
it?
about, isn't it?
Oh. Anyway, so yeah, nice to consider. Feels like I am on the morning after a night before, which I'm not, but the government is. That major reshuffle saw David Lammy become Deputy Prime Minister. Yvette Cooper shuffled out of the Home Office into the Foreign Office, and some other big changes as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you have really just sort of been under the duvet or maybe travelling or something like that for the last 12 hours or so, you might be waking up this morning, switching on and thinking, what the heck has happened?
Yes, it's all a bit odd, frankly. And what is important, I think, is the Home Secretary, with migration, top of the agenda. The Home Secretary moved out. Let's talk to our political editor, Christopher Hope, who joins us now. I know we've got the second part of this reshuffle today, Christopher. What's going to be particularly interesting is whether junior ministers from the Home Office are shuffled out as well.
That's right. I think the Home Office is one area we're looking at quite closely. Will the people like Angela Regal, the Immigration Minister, will she remain? Jess Phillips, of course, the Safeguarding Minister. But to answer Anne's question there, taking a step back, what's all this for? Well, it's intended to refresh, to update the PM's team. There's some changes in number 10 on Monday. Some people no one's heard of were moved around to try and sharpen the PM's message. He made that appointment on Monday, this Secretary to the Prime Minister, Darren Jones. He'll be here within about 10 minutes. We'll ask him the questions that viewers want to hear the answers to. He's the guy to deliver throughout Whitehall. For me, this is a response to Reform UK soaring ahead in the polls, as much as 35 points. Recent poll last weekend down to Labour on 20, Tories on 17. It's not a Tory party response, it's a Reform Party response, and that's why you're seeing a change of who's in charge. At the Home Office, Shabana Mahmood is quite a tough nut. She'll be tough on the small boats, dealing with the asylum hotels, emptying them by 2029. Pat McFadden, an old Whitehall warhorse, brought in there to try and deal with that 6 million people on benefits, bring that number down. They've moved, haven't they? People away from the Lucy Powell, the former leader of the House of Commons. She's gone. She lost control of the Labour backbenchers in the summer over that benefits vote. Alan Campbell, of course, the former Chief Whip, he's also moved again. All goes back to that embarrassing defeat, or rather failure to get through those £5 billion worth of benefit cuts. I think this is, for me, a reform-facing reshuffle. They want to pull back the lead that Nigel Farage has got, and it's all about those 4 MPs in the House of Commons, not the 120 which the Tories have.
What of our viewers are, or some of our viewers are getting in touch, saying that they fear that Shabana Mahmood, because of her own ethnic background, may be easier on the small boats crossings and the attitude of the government towards illegal migrants. Are they reading her wrong?
I think they are. I think we have to judge Shabana Mahmood on her actions in government. She did deal with, she had a very difficult time having to release prisoners early last September because of the prison overcrowding crisis caused by Conservative inability to build new prisons. She took firm action on the Sentencing Guidelines Council when they had some new guidelines saying that I think it was race could be brought in to consider sentencing cases if certainly it would be mitigated against white people being sentenced in court. She is seen as a tough nut. I think, yes, she's a Muslim woman, but I think we have to judge her on her actions in government. She knows there's a security risk from these 50,000 or so arriving so far under Labour across the small boats. It will be a record figure this year. This government will be judged, it will, I would argue, stand or fall, frankly, on its small boats record, and that's why she's there. And looking at the headlines today, they're saying nightmare on Downing Street. Essentially, only 2 people were removed, or 3 people were removed from the top table yesterday. Angela Rayner, Ian Murray, the Scottish Secretary, and also Lucy Powell, the leader of the House of Commons. Otherwise, everyone just moved around. Sir Keir Starmer clearly thinks he's got the right people around the table. They just all need different jobs.
It's interesting. It was only on Monday, wasn't it? He was talking about this being phase 2. It's been a difficult first year, but we're now entering phase 2. Then by the end of the week, he's lost his Deputy Prime Minister and moving about who's going to bring in phase 2, which means people will lack confidence.
Yeah, phase two starts on Monday with the kind of plumbing of the government, dealing with moving paid officials around. They were planning to do this reshuffle later in the autumn. It was brought forward by the resignation of Angela Rayner yesterday, and that's where we are. It was certainly far in excess of where we thought it would be yesterday morning. We'll be asking those questions of Darren Jones shortly. I just wondered if either of you two had any questions you want me to ask Darren Jones for you.
Mine would just be, what confidence can people have now? It just feels like the government's, even if you're right, Chris, and you're saying that it is a reform-facing reshuffle, then is the government running scared? What are they coming up with that's actually new rather than just running scared of reform? Well, I'm sure you've got much better questions than that, Chris, of your own. You don't need me to tell you anything. Well, we look forward to...
I just want...
Yeah, I'm sure you do. We'll catch up with you then when Darren turns up, and we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
For now, thank you.
In the meantime, talking of confidence, my goodness, talking of confidence, didn't we see it yesterday at the conference of Reform UK? I mean, not just the fireworks and everything that always accompanies Nigel Farage now when he speaks, but it was when Dame Andrea Jenkins, who is now the Reform UK Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, it's when she made a spectacular entrance.
Oh, you've not seen anything like this.
I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Staring at the ceiling. Waiting for my thoughts to switch off. Yes, I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. And all I can hear is the sound of that clock. The sound of that clock. I'm an insomniac. Yeah.
Well, she's got a bit of charisma, hasn't she?
Well...
She looked fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it happened. No. But part of me just thinks, oh, what the heck?
OK, why not do something different?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's extraordinary, but it's also fun. You don't get much fun in politics. But anyway, I'd love to know what you think.
What we were hearing earlier, this is the most upbeat conference we are going to see this conference season.
Well, I think we better head straight to Birmingham and talk to our very own pop diva, Tom Harwood. Morning, Tom.
Morning, and yes, this conference is all about spectacle. So I wanted to bring you to one of the spectacles of the conference floor, really, here, which is this enormous tractor, a call to action to abolish the reforms to inheritance tax for farmers that, of course, the government has been bringing in. I'm actually delighted to be joined by the owner of this tractor, the farmer Chris Marchman. Chris, thanks for being with us here live on GB News. Why did you bring your tractor here to the Reform Conference?
We brought the tractors mainly as a demonstration against the policies that have been brought in by the Labour government, mainly the inheritance tax policy, and it's a visual display. We actually have trailers going around the country that people can sign on, and we're going to take it to the Labour Party conference to show our disgust with the Labour Party.
It's a pretty impressive piece of kit, but you've been travelling around the country in this, protesting really for most of the last year.
Ever since the budget came out, Farmers to Action was set up, and we're one of the largest protest groups now in the country, and literally every 3 weeks we've been out with tractor convoys and demonstrating in different places, just trying to get the word out there because the government do not understand the farmers' plight properly.
Well, let's have a little look around the tractor here, because it is adorned with signs, with slogans. We've got "With Our Farmers" there. You've got British flags at the top of it. No farmers, no food. Axe the tax. Buckle up. We will not stop. This is showing your determination.
Oh yes, we are determined. I mean, we won't stop till something changes, because within 2 generations, my farm will be finished, because my kids will have to pay the tax, and that'll be us finished. And I've been farming for 125 years, our family have.
Wow, that is perhaps why this is such a visceral issue. This isn't just about sort of people having to pay a tax. This is about families, about institutions, about the history of the country in so many ways.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah, because once it's gone, it's never going to come back, and we're really, really concerned at what's going on at the moment with all the policies. So we would do everything we can with Farmers to Action, and the Together group have been helping us as well, and we're going to take the fight directly to Labour, hopefully.
Well, this is an absolutely a smashing bit of kit. But interestingly, you've been getting some people to sign the side of it here.
Yes, I've got the GB News team on one side, and I've got the Reform Party signatures on the other side. So I'd like you to sign it as well, if possible.
Well, it would be an absolute honour to sign your tractor. Have you got a marker pen there? I mean, fantastic stuff. I wonder if I can squeeze in just above Nana Akwer's name. Right, OK, here we go. There you go. That's my signature there now on this tractor. Thank you ever so much, sir. It's an absolute honour to sign your tractor.
It's brilliant, because the trailers that we've got going around the country for the whole month up to the 28th has a big banners on the side. We're going to all the markets, cattle markets and stuff, and all the people are writing their stories on there, and I've seen some of them, and it's absolutely heartbreaking what's going on. So it's a really, strong message we're trying to send.
Well, Chris Marchman, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for showing us your brilliant tractor. Back to you guys in the studio.
Tom, thank you.
Unusual people you meet at these conferences.
Great, though.
Let's cross back now to Chris Hope, who's with Darren Jones right now.
Serious time. Yeah.
That's right, Anne and Steve, welcome back here. With me now is Darren Jones, the government's chief enforcer. Darren Jones, welcome to breakfast. What is this reshuffle for?
Well, as the Prime Minister said on Monday, this is the second chapter of the Labour government. The first chapter, the first year, being a new government coming in, getting a grip with the crises, putting out the fires that we'd inherited from the Conservatives. And now we're on to chapter 2, where we get to really start to drive delivery of the promises of change that we made to the public at the last election.
Come off it, it's a panicked reshuffle in response to Angela Rayner's resignation, right? Be honest with us.
I'm being honest with you, it's not, because the Prime Minister was already planning a reshuffle. I'll be honest, he wanted to do it in a slightly slower time frame, but we announced the number 10 appointments on Monday, my new job as Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. When it became clear that Angela was going to leave government, the Prime Minister took decisive action and decided to bring that reshuffle forward and just get the job done on Friday.
So 3 people have left the cabinet table, the rest have been moved around, shuffled about. Is it really about tackling Nigel Farage and Reform UK's poll lead?
No, this is about making sure that we've got brilliant colleagues in brilliant jobs, making sure that the government machine is really driving delivery of the public's priorities.
So they're all in the wrong jobs before, were they?
No, that's not what I said.
It is what you said.
Reshuffles are reshuffles. You move people around, you make sure as your agenda's developing, you bring people into different jobs, and that's normal in government. And we've got a brilliant team now that's going to be getting on with delivering on the public's priorities.
Your role in the Cabinet Office is as a Chancellor for the Duchess of Lancaster now, and of course this new role of Chief Secretary. You have to deliver the PM's agenda. What is that agenda? Can you just describe it? Because it's not clear to many people what is Starmerism, if it's anything at all.
Well, look, the Prime Minister's priorities are the public's priorities. So it's about tackling the cost of living crisis and making people get better wages at work. It's about getting public services back on their feet with a predominant focus on the NHS. And it's about making sure that people feel safe and confident about their local communities. And that includes things like the borders and the small boats crisis. So those are the obvious priorities that the public have. They are the government's priorities. And my job as Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister in Downing Street, as well as my job in the Cabinet Office, is about helping him to make sure that we're firing on all cylinders across government to make sure we can deliver those things for the public.
You mentioned the small boats crisis. How can Shabana Mahmood do better than Yvette Cooper, who failed, frankly, to stop those boats?
Well, Yvette Cooper did lots of brilliant things in the Home Office, including getting this returns deal with the French so that we can return people on small boats back to France. No one thought that was possible. She did a great job.
Hasn't worked yet, though, has it?
Well, it's just started and it's in pilot, but the idea is that we're going to be ramping that up. She was able to start to get the process of applications up and running again. Remember, the reason we have so many asylum seekers in hotels is because the Conservatives just stopped looking at applications whilst letting more and more people come into the system. That was not going to be an easy thing to fix, but she made great progress on that, with tens of thousands of people removed from the UK with no right to be here. Yvette's now going to be a brilliant Foreign Secretary, and Shabana, who was Justice Secretary, got a grip of the prisons crisis that were full when we came into government, is going to bring that reforming zeal to the Home Office, and we'll be tackling the small boats crisis.
You said in a BBC programme that most of the people arriving here were women and children in those small boats. Do you regret that now?
So I made reference to 2 particular boats that I was told about on a particular visit to the Border Security Command. As I said at the time, this was a question time where I was being shouted at and asked by the audience and asked by the presenter. I could have said what I just said to you a bit more clearly, and I get that. But these were examples where these criminal gangs put women and children and babies in those boats, presumably for a reason, and all I was making the case for in those circumstances was that when those children came across injured because of the mixing of oil and seawater, it's of course the right thing to take a humanitarian approach to helping to treat them.
But you accept it's mainly young men, but overwhelmingly young men on those boats who are not security vetted. They are risk to this country and it needs tackling.
So they are predominantly young men, and the data is very clear about that. The Border Security Command is important for that process because every single person that comes through gets checked by the police and by national security officials. But the fact is we need to stop them coming over in the first place. So we're dealing with the issue to make sure that we've got a controlled border and that we're protecting the UK and British citizens, but we have to stop people coming over in the first place, and that's what the Home Secretary is going to be dealing with.
I was struck by the appointment of Pat McFadden, the old Whitehall warhorse, if I can call him that, running the Department of Work and Pensions. That shows to me an attempt that you want to get back into cutting the benefits bill. It's too big, get more people into work.
The welfare welfare system reforms were already continuing. Stephen Timms, one of our ministerial colleagues, is doing the review with people who use the system.
Yeah, but you walked them back from 5 billion to 0, didn't you?
We basically delayed the reforms. We didn't end them, we've delayed them.
That's why we worry about it at GB News. Why can't you cut this money being spent on people not working?
Yeah, I understand. This is about how we get the projected increase in future spending, because it's the rate of extra people coming into the system, predominantly young people, 1 in 8 people coming out of school coming into the system. That can't be right. So Pat is running the work and pensions department with skills and trading included. It's really an economic growth department that helps people who can get back to work whilst giving people who need support the right support.
How can we judge, and our viewers and listeners judge, the success of this reshuffle?
By feeling the change that this government is going to deliver between now and the next election. As I say, on issues around the cost of living, on wages and the economy, on your ability to get seen in the NHS system and your experience of public services, and by the fact that you feel proud and secure in your local community.
And we're hearing more from the PM. Will we be at this?
I'm sure you will be soon, yes. I actually don't know, but he'll be out soon, I suspect.
And just finally, were you happy with your change? I mean, you're now running the Cabinet Office, you've got this role enforcing for the PM. How are you going to change in your job? You'll be moving around Whitehall, I suppose, with a tick box to ensure that the issues that the PM cares about are delivered on.
So my primary job, as I say, is Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. I'm based in 10 Downing Street. We're working alongside him to make sure that we're delivering on the public's priorities and his priorities. My kind of upgrade to now run the Cabinet Office also gives me lots of power and levers to help drive the government machine, which is often trying to get different departments to work together, force decision making, and then really drive delivery. And that's going to be my job now in the months ahead.
And just finally, looking forward to today, it's the junior, or the second, third and fourth rung reshuffle today. There'll be more blood on the carpet, will there?
Well, the Prime Minister is now considering appointments to the junior ministerial ranks and will let us know in due course what he's decided. But much like with the reshuffle, this is a case of making sure that we give people the chance to serve in government who have exhibited great skills and great energy for delivery, who will be great at helping us get out across the country and talk to people and show the difference we're making in their lives.
And will the changes be as dramatic as yesterday?
We'll wait and see.
OK. Darren Jones, thank you for joining us today on GB News Breakfast. Darren Jones there, of course, Sir Keir Starmer's chief enforcer with his flip chart to go around Whitehall, ensuring that the PM's ideas are delivered on in Whitehall.
Chris, I can't tell you how many hundreds of messages have come through during that interview. I don't know if I can read any of them out. Our viewers and listeners don't seem to be impressed at the moment. But one which struck me was someone saying, will Angela Rayner get a payout because she ultimately resigned rather than being sacked?
I can quickly ask the Minister 1 second. One final question from our viewers, Darren Jones, quickly. Should Angela Rayner receive a payout for resigning as Minister?
So we changed the rules coming into government around severance payments for ministers. In the old days, it's the minister that decides themselves whether to take it or not. Under the new rules, it will be with the Prime Minister's consent. But those rules don't technically come into force until October. So because of Angela's departure now in September, it's technically on the old system, and so it's a decision for Angela Rayner.
So that payoff may go off to paying her off her tax bill. Is that right?
You have to ask Angela Rayner.
Should she take it, just finally?
That is a decision for Angela Rayner under the current rules, but from next month, our new rules will be in place where it will be the Prime Minister's decision one way or another.
Darren Jones, thank you. Thank you for staying on too. Darren Jones there with clarification. It's up to Angela Rayner about that payoff, Steve.
All right, lovely. Chris, thanks very much indeed, and well done to that viewer who sent that in. A very good question.
I wonder if she's taken advice on that, whether or not to go now, because the choice is still hers now.
I would imagine the Prime Minister's relieved it's not his decision to make.
I would imagine he really is.
Because they get about a quarter of their salary, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if it were us, wouldn't we? If you're entitled to it, you would, wouldn't it? Because it will help her pay off.
I mean, she'll get a load of stick if she does, but then what's she got to lose?
Exactly, she's already resigned.
She's got a £40,000 tax to pay, plus
a possible fine.
A fine of anywhere between 10 and 20%, most likely. So 50 grand, say, she's going to have to find. But it would go down so badly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she will have to admit whether she does it or not, because everybody will ask her that question.
Thank you for all your comments, by the way. I have flicked through all of them, about 300 during the course of that interview. You had a lot to say.
Yes, thank you.
Right, let's have a look at the weather. Here's Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture with wet and windy weather for some tomorrow, but most of us having a good-looking day today. Generally dry and bright with some hazy sunshine. Not completely dry, one or two showers this morning over parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, but I say most places won't see them and stay dry and fine. Some cloud around, but hazy spells of sunshine. The breeze is picking up already in western areas, and we'll see some quite lively gusts at times over parts of Wales, the north coast of Northern Ireland in particular. But the wind is coming up from the south, so it's bringing warm air. So in the sunny spells, temperatures getting widely over 20 Celsius, so quite warm for this time of year. Through this evening, most of us will stay fine. That breeze will continue to strengthen. So a breezy old evening across Scotland. I think any showers we see here through the day, though, they should be fading out by this evening. So looking dry and fine if you're heading out, as it is for most of Northern Ireland. But by this evening, just the threat of some showery rain creeping into the far west. For most of England and Wales, dry and fine this evening. Again, quite a bit of cloud and a fairly brisk wind. But those temperatures still up at 20 degrees into this evening. Now, temperatures will fall away overnight, but not too far. It's going to be quite a warm night as that breeze continues to waft mild and increasingly humid air our way, and increasing amounts of cloud out west with some showery rain pushing into Northern Ireland, maybe Pembrokeshire and Cornwall by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. But temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, high teens in some places, so really quite a warm start, quite a humid day. Much of eastern Scotland, central and eastern England will have a dry Sunday morning, but further west outbreaks of rain will push into western England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and eventually into much of western and then central Scotland. Much of eastern England will stay dry until quite late on. Will be quite a blustery day. Those winds are up a notch. Still quite mild air in place though, so feeling quite warm and quite humid tomorrow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, it's 9:25, time for the Great British Giveaway now. Our biggest prize to date, as you probably know by now. It's worth over £104,000, yes, indeed. Your chance to drive away with a new 4-berth motorhome and a £30,000 extra, tax-free, in cash. Here's all the details you need.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
9:30 on the nose. Now, President Putin says any Western troops sent to Ukraine would be legitimate targets for Russian attacks.
This comes following a meeting of Ukraine's allies where French President Emmanuel Macron said 26 countries have agreed to provide Ukraine with post-war security.
Let's talk to former senior British military advisor, Major General Chip Chapman. It's always good to see you, Chip. This makes no sense to me. The security wouldn't be provided until we were in a post-war situation. So how then would they be legitimate targets?
Well, they wouldn't, and that's the caveat really on what Putin said. He said that they would be legitimate targets, especially now, which is the war-fighting phase of the war. So we are talking about the day-after scenario. But it's what day-after scenario we're talking about. Are we talking about after a ceasefire, after an armistice, after a peace agreement, or after a peace treaty? It's where it would fit into that sequencing, which is the key issue, along with what was the outcome of the Ukraine the meeting with Putin and Trump in Alaska, because what Witkoff had said there, who was the interlocutor with Putin for Trump, is that he'd managed to get a Article 5-like guarantee, which had been agreed by Putin. That was phase one, which would lead to phase two, the bilateral, and phase three, a trilateral with Trump, Putin and Zelensky. What we seem to be doing is doing a slow walk to nowhere at the moment, and the pathway seems to be blocked.
It sort of seems to be saying two things. One is that no matter what the agreement that might lead to a post-war scenario, he still considers anyone from the West to be the enemy and therefore a legitimate target. So, I mean, it renders any agreement meaningless. This threat renders any agreement meaningless, doesn't it?
Well, that is the case at the moment, and it's really to do with the three concepts to do with what is the notion of independence for Ukraine, what is the notion of sovereignty for Ukraine, and what is territorial integrity for Ukraine. What Putin seems to be saying by this is that Ukraine may have its independence to an extent. He wants them to be a vassal state, but they won't have their own sovereignty, because it is for Ukraine to establish what sovereignty it wants, the size of its army, for example. Zelensky, for example, has said the best security guarantee is a large Ukrainian army. One of the notions that Putin has been consistent on the table is that there should be a demilitarized Ukraine with an army of something like 70,000 troops. That gives Putin leverage to do what he wants.
Yeah. What do you make? Because we were covering it earlier in the week, but obviously Putin saying, I'll have a sit down with Zelensky in Moscow. What's your assessment of that? Because we talked to a number of people in the week, all of whom seem to say if he went to Moscow, the chances are he'd never come back. Do you agree with that?
Well, he doesn't think that Zelensky is a legitimate ruler. That's why, for example, yesterday he talked about peace being practically impossible, really to do with Zelensky's position and the position of martial law within Ukraine, and that they wouldn't be able to take a referendum on giving up the 4 territories, which is also one of the demands of Putin. I do think it's a non-starter. He may not come back, but it's trying to, again, establish this vassal nature of Ukraine and Zelensky, with Russia as primus inter pares, where their grand strategic objectives still have not changed, regain lost territory and spheres of influence.
I mean, in Putin's eyes, Zelensky isn't a legitimate leader of Ukraine anyway. So, I mean, he could just make him a political prisoner, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. I mean, he could go down the route of Skripal or anyone else who's been poisoned by Putin. Of course, Putin can't go to too many countries because there is a warrant for his arrest under the ICC, but there's not going to be a meeting unless it's on neutral territory or somewhere which is acceptable to both. So the notion of Moscow is again, going to Moscow is again one of these deals where whether Putin is a good faith negotiator, and at the moment he doesn't seem to be. It's that which should lead now, one would think, to Trump sort of saying, what action does Trump take? We're now past the 2-week point from the 22nd of August when he said he would know within 2 weeks whether Putin was a good faith negotiator, and that all options were on the table. We don't know what option he will take. We're still waiting potentially for this secondary sanctions of either 100% or 500%. But rather like most politicians, President Trump seems to be kicking that can down the road on a 2-week basis.
I mean, it does seem to be. I mean, look, I'm not an expert. Thankfully, you are in all of this sort of stuff, Chip. But it does seem to be like the only sort of feasible option left seems to be these sort of sanctions, which we know could cripple an already fragile Russian economy. And that seems to be the only lever we've got left to pull, or that Trump's got left to pull, at least.
Well, he's got two levers, really. The first one is the oil thing. So in August, 17% of the oil refinery capacity of Russia was destroyed by Ukrainian deep strikes. I always recall John McCain saying that Russia is no more than a gas station with nukes masquerading as a country. So if you take the gas out, you exacerbate their economic situation. You can do that either by sanctions or by enabling Ukraine to have the weapons to continue to destroy that sort of part of the economy. Now, it's worth saying there, though, that 60% of Ukrainian weapons at the moment are actually indigenously produced now within Ukraine. And that is the big difference since 2022, that they now have this deep strike capability, which isn't just reliant upon the West.
Was the Alaska summit a total waste of time?
It wasn't a waste of time from Putin's perspective because it gave him some credibility on the international stage. In the larger context of is it going to lead to a peace settlement, it does seem to be a waste of time.
Do you think it was naive then, a naive thing to organise?
Well, I think it was. But again, Trump talks about really the great man theory of international relations. He thinks that his personality and his good standing with Putin can unlock a significant strategic problem. It can't. And if you look at the consistency of what Putin has said, he comes from the realist school of foreign policy. He wants procedures, set ways of doing things, which is why, for example, he sees a ceasefire first as a precondition. And he thinks that you should negotiate a ceasefire, i.e. it should not be a precondition. He comes from this very A, B, C, D, E, F, G sort of process point of view, which Trump does not.
So what happens next? I mean, do we just have to wait for Putin to exit the floor? I mean, do we just have to wait for it to fizzle out?
Well, the key thing strategically, I think, is whether Trump walks away from this or does support Ukraine for the future. The problem for both the countries who are involved in the fighting is we've really got the sort of sunk cost fallacy of war. That is that Russia does not have enough strength to take all of Ukraine, and Ukraine does not have enough strength to regain all the territories it's lost. None of them have the ability to seem to walk away from that. It's the HS2 of international war at the moment.
OK.
Oh, that's terrible.
Chip, really appreciate your analysis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That really is a damning analogy, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
But lots of people said so at the time.
I mean, you've just, in a way, I just hope Trump does decide to go with those secondary tariffs. I mean, they'd be against countries like India. I mean, that would cripple Russia. I mean, you don't wish for the Russian people. It's not their fault.
No.
But something has to be done, doesn't it? We can't carry on like this, where you're giving this huge platform to Putin. And I appreciate Trump's sort of approach to that and think, well, this is the way forward, you know. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But it's
you
just...
can't make peace with somebody you don't talk to.
No, but Putin has just not played ball with any of it.
No, but everybody was warned that that would be the case.
Yeah.
And so it has happened. Anyway, let's move on to something much more upbeat.
Yes.
The Great North Run takes place tomorrow, and I think the weather might be kind to all the runners. 60,000 people are taking part from the heart of Newcastle upon Tyne to South Shields. We're speaking to one of the most inspirational participants just after this.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I thought, well, why not? It's a very ambitious project. But I'm not surprised it's so many years behind schedule, and the sheer cost of it is amazing. But it's a shame it looks like it might not be going ahead, but there are a few countries they can use as a bit of a backup.
Oh, Eddie, we've got some images here of you on the screen. Do you remember these moments here?
Oh, I remember them well. It's nearly 38 years ago, back in Calgary, and I can still remember it like it was yesterday.
Was that the 19... So Eddie, just for the audience know who you are the first person to represent Great Britain in Olympic ski jumping. That's right. So was it 1988? Was this your first performance we can see here?
It was. I think it was the small hill, that one, and on the 70 metre, and then a week later I did the 90 metre. So, yeah, I became Britain's first ever Olympic ski jumper. So I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, well, absolutely. Look at those scenes. They're absolutely glorious, Eddie. Love to see it. Well, just go back to our previous topic there for a second. So you know, I'm guessing you have seen some of the facilities around the world. Where seems like a sensible place to have this? Because, of course, we're considering South Korea and other countries as well. Where would you pick this? What would be the best location in your experience, Eddie?
Well, actually, about, I can't remember the year, but at least 10 to 15 years ago, I commentated on the Asian Olympics, and I was commentating when it was in Kazakhstan, in Almaty. Right. So that's another place that they could use for the Asian Olympics. Unfortunately, in the ski jumping event where I was commentating, there were only 12 jumpers taking part. So it was a very, very small competition, but it was great fun. And they do have a ski jump in Kazakhstan, so maybe they can use that as well as a backup.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
at 9:42. Now, the Great North Run takes place tomorrow. 60,000 people participating in the run. Kicks off at the heart of Newcastle upon Tyne to South Shields.
13.1 miles, just in case you're interested in taking part. One person is Craig McMurrough from Stratford-upon-Avon, who dresses up to run and to raise awareness and funds for ovarian cancer research.
Yeah, his sister Cheryl died with ovarian cancer in 2016, so you can understand why it's something he's concerned about.
So let's see how they're dressed up. Oh no, how on earth are you going to run like that? I can't see which of you is which. Which one's Craig?
Well,
wave us.
Hello, yes.
Oh, hello, hi.
I'm Miss Overy today, and Mrs. Overy is Sarah.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're very picturesque. We wondered if you would be connected. We were warned slightly. We wondered if you'd be connected by any sort of fallopian tubes.
Well, we're looking for a cervix hand to come and run with us if you're free tomorrow. You're very welcome.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Well, you don't mind talking very clearly about what is. I mean, it's a huge concern. It's a big issue, and clearly something you're very, very passionate about, Craig.
Absolutely, and as you said, sadly, my sister died aged 43, coming up for 10 years ago. She was misdiagnosed with fibroids, and by the time she got a second opinion, it was too late to save her. And she left a young family, a husband. It absolutely devastated our entire family. And so, kind of through the grief, but I wanted to, celebrate her legacy. She was an earth angel when she was with us. She was an amazing person, did loads for other people. She was a speech therapist. So really to spread awareness of the signs and symptoms, because they are often missed. In my sister's case, it was just too aggressive for them to save her. So we run around the country. The signs and symptoms are on the back.
Oh, well done.
So we hope that, of course, people take attention to these and take a photo. If there's any of these presenting, then they go and get a GP's medical attention.
Yeah. Sarah, is this the first time you've run in such a get-up?
Absolutely not, no. I've done quite a few of these now, London Marathon, several half marathons, 10Ks.
Wow.
All over the place. And, we run in these, obviously, but we also spread awareness by, hanging around shopping centres, talking to people on a Saturday afternoon, collecting funds, listening to them, answering their questions, and really getting this BEAT acronym message across.
Because, Craig, it's really important to raise the awareness, not just to raise money for research and everything, which is so important as well, but the awareness is so important because time and again you hear stories like your sister's where it happens to young mums, young women, far too young to lose their lives, and at a time of their life when they're needed for the family. Well, obviously all women are at all times, but you know what I mean. It hits the young and vulnerable like your sister.
Yeah, and it's such an indiscriminate disease, of course, and it hits all ages. So our view is that if we can educate and sometimes it's the medical professions as well, maybe not always up to date with the most recent research, because things are changing all the time with advances in technology, etc., and scanning rates, etc. But ours is a kind of simple way of just reminding people, or indeed informing of these. And there's an acronym called BEAT, B-E-A-T, which stands for B is for bloating of the tummy, obviously. E being any changes in eating or feeling full very quickly. A, any pain in pelvic or abdominal regions, and T, changes in toilet habits. So if they present together, then absolutely go and get some attention and be tenacious.
The problem is that the symptoms that Craig's just described are very common and can be vague and similar to other conditions as well. So often, therefore, it is overlooked by the sufferer themselves and also, of course, the medical profession. So I think, as Craig just says, it's about that tenacity, making sure that if you know something's not right, you have to continue to keep probing for further diagnostic tests. And there are tests. There's no screening programme, which is really important for everyone to understand, because unfortunately, we've met several individuals that think that they go for their cervical screening, and that checks for all gynecological cancers. And of course it doesn't.
It doesn't. That's
no.
Wow.
Well, look,
Absolutely not.
it is amazing that you're raising all this awareness and the funds, and that you're running in those very difficult costumes to run in, I would imagine. They look very uncomfortable. So, well done.
We went to, can I just check? We went to Buckingham Palace a couple of months back, and we were introduced to Princess Anne, Her Royal Highness Princess Anne, as the ovaries. And she actually thanked us for not coming in the ovaries to the palace. She said, "Oh, you know, I'm so in awe of what you do. I couldn't run a marathon at 72, I think she is, but she was wonderfully supportive for us." I just wanted to say hi to Sam and Lucy, who are my niece and nephew Cheryl's children.
You were at Buckingham Palace because you got a Citizens Award, didn't you? The British Citizen Award.
Yeah, for services to healthcare. So everything we've been doing for the last, as I said, nearly 10 years was recognised. And yeah, it was gorgeous to go to House of Parliament and receive my medal, amongst some other amazing individuals. And I think when you go to something like that, again at the Palace, you know, people doing wonderful things in this society. It's a hard world we live in, and it's amazing to see people doing great stuff for communities.
Yeah,
we're in awe.
We are. Craig, Sarah, good luck tomorrow.
We'll watch out for you.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, we won't miss you. And it is right to celebrate this, because we moan a lot about what's going on. We should be celebrating those people who make a difference. So best of luck to them.
Those outfit looks very difficult to run in.
Yeah, I wouldn't fancy it. Right, if you fancy some holiday sun, here's the forecast for the top European destinations.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. We may see a few showers over the Balearics during the course of Sunday. Meanwhile, it's looking fine in Italy. Lots of sunshine for Greece and most of Turkey too. Just a few showers inland. Most of the beaches staying dry and sunny. There will be a few showers, as I said, heading south across Mallorca, perhaps affecting Ibiza as well, and northern parts of Tunisia seeing a little bit of rain. And there's a weak weather front which may bring thick cloud and the odd spot of rain to the Algarve on Sunday. That clears away though by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation.
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, coming up at 10 o'clock, it's Saturday Morning Live with Charlie and Olivia. Morning, you two.
Morning.
You've got
Morning.
some breaking news for us.
Yes, well, it's the first time we're working together on the new Saturday Morning Live pairing, which is very exciting. And we're starting off with some breaking news from our Home and Security editor, Mark White, who has just been able to reveal that for the first time, after 11 days, straight days of no crossings, at least 500 small boat migrants are likely to be arriving in Dover today.
500?
This is going to be the first full day of Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, in power, and the Border Force has declared a red day in the English Channel with large numbers of illegal crossings expected.
I mean, that's a flotilla.
It's a significant number. It's a significant number. And at around 7:30 this morning, Mark White says that the Border Force vessel Defender arrived into Dover Harbour with the first group of migrants in board, with GB News counting 138 on that first vessel. So we are now seeing GB News provisional figures taking the number of Channel migrants who've arrived illegally in the UK this year to 29,500 under Yvette Cooper's watch, of course. She's just exited as Home Secretary. That was more than 52,000 in just 14 months. So Shabana Mahmood with a significant task on her hands, of course, made more difficult by this first full day of power.
I don't understand this whole Border Force business, though, to be honest, because it just seems like we are literally just going and picking them up. It feels like a taxi service.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, Border Force are forced to make this effort as soon as they enter into British waters. So we'll get all the latest lines on that from Mark White, but plenty more coming up as well, Olivia.
Well, of course, because Yvette Cooper was widely criticised for being too cautious about her approach to the migrant crossing crisis. Keir Starmer has replaced her with Shabana Mahmood. She calls herself Blue Labour. She seems to be on the right of the party. Is it possible that she could get a bit more of a grip? Well, that is, if Labour doesn't descend into some sort of civil war. Angela Rayner, former deputy leader of the Labour Party, was the sort of bridge between Keir Starmer and the left of the party. Keir Starmer doesn't get to decide who her successor is. The members get to decide. There could be some sort of war. Could the new deputy leader not take the side of Keir Starmer? This could get really, really tricky for the Prime Minister. And this exclusive news from Mark White doesn't make things any easier.
Is it deliberate? Is it deliberate that it's happening on her first day?
I think.
Or is it just weather?
Well, it's just weather. It's remarkable how, and Mark says this all the time now, essentially the only deterrent to prevent small boat crossings at the moment in Britain is the weather. The smash the gangs policy, everyone can see that just isn't working. There isn't a legal deterrent. There certainly isn't a maritime deterrent. As you said, Stephen, it's just, you just go and pick them up. Bad weather controls what the gangs can and cannot do. And after 11 straight days of no crossings, over 500 expected this morning.
The government was very much hoping that this wasn't going to be the worst year ever for migrant channel crossings because of these very quiet 11 days. And all that seems to be out of the window now. It's really, really tough for Shabana Mahmood. We'll also, of course, be talking about Reform Party conference, which is still in full swing. Could Farage be the next Prime Minister? Or is it a bit of a one-man band? We've seen those amazing football T-shirts with Farage on the back of them. But what about the rest of the Reform MPs? All that, lots more coming up as well.
Wow, is all
Thank
you
you.
can say.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Really
It is crazy. Right, we look forward to seeing you at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed. So,
That's it from us?
Yeah, we're back tomorrow morning.
And we're back tomorrow morning, yes, we are.
Yes,
Thank
see you
you
at 6.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 033 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only.